Welcome to the Main Character Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Hamblin, main character of my own story. But this podcast isn't about me. It's about you, and all of you. Every person that has ever lived on this planet, all 8 billion people here now, all that came before us, and all that will come hereafter are the main characters in their own story. My aim is to interview people that embody living in their energy and discovering from their perspective what their perception of reality is like. Buckle up. You're about to experience the world through another main character's eyes. There's no stores. This place is 3,300 square feet. I gained 500 square feet and I have less storage space.
Weird.
It drives me nuts.
Yeah. Storage is important, especially for babies.
Especially for babies. And that's been one of my favorite things because I have 3 boys and then we got our girl.
Yeah.
And the boys, especially my third one, he's all hand-me-downs, right? Which I'm the oldest, so I was not the hand-me-down stuff. I had all the new stuff. But as they've grown out of stuff, now we've been able to get rid of it, and we aren't going to have a fifth. I would have 10.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love babies.
God.
This is my happy place. Give me a baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that old guy in the hospital rocking babies in the peds ward. That's my retirement plan.
Love that. I love holding baby. There's nothing like holding a baby. It's just all the other stuff that comes along with
the spit up, the poo, the crying,
lack of sleep.
Yeah, who needs sleep?
Yeah, you probably don't get it.
No. Thankfully, our oldest was our hardest.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he slept more than 2 hours straight for the first 8 months of his life.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And most people say, oh, yeah, the first one was easy. The second one, I don't know why we had any kids after that because he was terrible. Number 1 was hard. And number 2 was easy. Number 3 was different. And my daughter, she is the easiest.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She's great. She's great. So I don't birth order. Where are you in the birth order?
Oldest.
You're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
Of how many?
2.
Of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How much younger is your
3 years?
3 years. Brother, sister?
Brother.
2
boys. Yep.
2 boys. Did your parents survive?
They did. Yeah. I don't know. You'd probably talk to them and they would say they didn't, but I don't know. We weren't. I think I was the more rebellious one, more of the trailblazer, but I also think my younger brother Kyle just saw what I did, and refined and was a little,
whether it was good or bad. Okay, this is how you sneak away and don't get caught with this.
He also, we've been described as like, 2 of the most similar yet different people they've ever met.
Okay, I love that. How does that work?
So we're very particular about certain things.
Yep.
But the things that we're particular about are different.
Okay.
So
give me an example.
We have I'll give it okay, so Kyle and I are very into our outfits and what we wear and the way that
you look very stylish, by the way.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm grabbing it.
Yeah, gotta throw that in there.
Yeah. In fact, I might wear this right now.
Cool.
Let's do that. Let's
love it. Yeah, no, but he is, so when we were little, he had this outfit where he had like a backwards hat, a pair of like shredder shades, like the one.
Oh, yeah.
And they were kind of like propped up on his head, but he'd have to wear gloves, a zip-up coat, and rubber red boots. And it was like he wouldn't go outside.
That was the outfit.
Yeah. And now,
how old was he?
So, back then he was probably 4 to 6 in that range.
Yep.
And now it's we were walking down the street maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, and a dog came up to him and it scratched it like jumped up and he wasn't expecting it and it like got his shirt dirty and he's like, fuck, dude, we got to go home so I could go clean the spot off. You know?
Nope. Yeah.
So
does he have like the clean shoes? He is clean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I am too. I mean, you look at my shoes. These are probably 3 years old, but I'm like, we're particular on. He's more of like a video game guy. He's very into creative stories. He makes a lot of music, and he's just a very creative person. I would say I am too, but I'm trying to figure out a good way to describe us because we have a very similar voice, similar laugh, and people. He's a bartender.
Yeah.
And I went and visited him at a bar, and it was before his shift. So I was talking to some of his buddies, and I laughed. And this one girl looked up and was looking around for Kyle when it was me.
When it was Alex.
Yeah. And so we sound similar. We have a similar laugh.
Do you look the same?
No.
No.
He has. No. I'm bald, 5'5", brown eyes. He's 5'9", great, beautiful black hair, blue eyes. Yeah.
Jolly.
Yeah, great hair.
Who do you both take after? Who looks like mom? Who looks like dad?
Man, the older we get, we start to look more like our parents. But like when we were born, my dad is half Nicaraguan, and so when I was born, I was very pale like my mom, very European.
Yeah.
Kyle, what my dad was like, he looks like a little Guatemalan baby. Like he was a little brown. Black, I mean, he could have been like a Mexican baby or something, So in the beginning, we looked complete opposite. Him with black hair, blue eyes, me with blonde hair, brown eyes. So we were complete opposites. But as we get older, I don't know, there's aspects of our facial profile that look similar to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard. The older we get, the more we look alike. But in the beginning, it was like nobody would know that we were brothers.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad, who I consider he's my dad. It's not my biological dad. And it always cracked me up when we would go to a work event, a Christmas party, or I just be at his work, and people would say, "Oh my gosh, you look so much like your dad." Well, I'm 6'2", strong brow, all these blue eyes, all these things. My dad's 5'9", brown eyes, so like. Him and I look nothing alike. He's one of my favorite people on this planet. We don't look anything alike.
People see what they want to see.
They see what they want to see. Right.
Yeah.
But then interestingly enough, of my three younger brothers, the one 3 years younger than me, he looks just like my dad.
Really?
And I remember at one point he wanted to change his name to Darren Jr. He was so, and if you look at my grandfather, my dad, and my brother at 5 years old, spitting image.
Really?
It is like those genes were strong.
Yeah.
But then brother number 3, brother number 4, they've got the good blend. So we definitely look like brothers.
Yeah.
But then I'm always curious about the nature versus nurture aspect of things. My dad says I act like him more than my brothers do. And then we all get along famously. My 3 younger brothers are great. And I take it you and Kyle get along great.
He's one of my best friends. Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of went, because we were 3 years apart. When I hit like middle school and he was still in elementary school, we had a little bit of a gap.
Yeah.
But I was a senior and he was a freshman when we went to high school.
Yeah.
And like we really reconnected there. I mean now he's one of my best friends.
He's one of your best friends.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have I call him my older brother, and I've known him since I was 11, and so he's like a mentor, older brother, uncle kind of a figure. And he's out on the west side actually in Lake Forest Park. But when the 3 of us are together, one time we were getting on an airplane and this guy's like, "Are you guys brothers?" And we're like, "We don't know this guy." So we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I can see it in you two. I see it in all 3 of you, but definitely you two." Yeah. And it was me and Eric, not Kyle. So, and Eric turned around and just said, "People see what they want to see."
They see what they want to see. That's so funny. Oh, man. Okay, so let's hear a couple different questions in there that popped up. First one, and I don't know I'm asking, but we're going to just roll with it.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Nicaragua?
I have, one time.
How was that?
It was
How
amazing.
Old were you?
It was when I was a junior in high school, so I must have been 17.
Oh.
So I grew up in Dillon, Montana.
Okay.
And
where's Dillon?
Dillon is southwest Montana. So if you are to go from Coeur d'Alene to Missoula,
Yep.
and then head like you're going to drive to Idaho Falls, Idaho,
Yep.
you hit Missoula, Butte, and then in between Butte and Missoula is Dillon. It's a very small town, less than 5,000 people.
Okay.
It's like living on a landlocked island.
Yes. Yeah. Well, but that had to be fun. Okay, so what was that like? And that was from birth to...
That was, no, so born July 3rd, 1987 in Livingston, Montana.
Nice.
That was the closest hospital to Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming. My parents were park rangers, and so we lived in...
That's cool.
Yeah, in the park. Closest hospital was Livingston, and so... was born in Livingston, lived in Yellowstone. Actually, claim to fame on my birth certificate is my place of residence is Yellowstone? National Park.
That's so kick-ass.
So I was there from, let's see, like July 87 to May of 1988, and then we moved to Dillon because my dad got a job as the public affairs officer for the Forest Service in Dillon.
Yeah.
So Dillon's the set that I claim. I mean, that's where I grew up. 88 to 2006 is.
Oh, cool.
So I grew up there preschool through high school.
Yeah. And let's see here. What year did you graduate?
2006.
Oh, you were 2006. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 05.
Yeah.
Which
I could have been 05. My parents, I was July, so I could have either been a young senior or an old senior.
Yeah.
And they chose the opposite, and I'm thankful for that. But
it all works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, and that was interesting with our kids because we have a couple summer babies.
Yeah.
And our oldest we put in when he was the young one in class.
Yeah.
Totally played out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Our youngest son, we held him back.
Mm-hmm.
Totally working out the way it's supposed to.
Cool. I think it's different for boys and girls because my daughter's young for her age. So when I graduated, I was 18 already. I was 18 the whole year.
Yeah.
She is going to be 17 and turn 18 that year.
Oh yeah. How old is she? 17?
She's 16 now.
She's 16.
Yep.
Okay.
So her birthday is July 1st. So we're 2 days apart. Birthday wise.
Is the 4th of July your favorite or least favorite holiday?
Dude, we call it birthday week.
It is.
And so we just rip
party.
it up. Yeah. We just have a whole week where, it's an excuse for all the family to get together because there's also extra vacation. So it's like we celebrate Kiwi's birthday. That my daughter's nickname is Kiwi. So
that's so cute.
Kiwi, me, and then we have the 4th.
How did she get that nickname?
Dude, that's a good question. So my daughter's multiracial. So she is me and Filipina. And so when we found out she was on the way, we were trying to figure out names. And her mom and I were together for 5 months when we found out baby was on the way. So 20 years old, 5 months into this thing.
Hey, by the way, here's a baby.
We're having a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a lot going on, and we decided at the time that we weren't going to find out the sex of the baby. We wanted to be surprised.
Oh,
and
that's very brave.
Yeah, we just decided, you know what? Let's just let it happen. Because we'll find out.
You're gonna love your baby either way.
Totally,
boy, girl, doesn't matter.
Yep. Yeah. And there was a lot of people were like, oh, I have to know. I want to plan. And for us, it was like, green and yellow and honestly, now looking back, it's like your newborn's in those clothes for what? 3 days to a month.
2 seconds.
Insane.
Yeah.
So we just decided, our reasoning even back then, and I'm thankful we did it, was just like, what other time in your life do you get to be surprised like this?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was also like, I didn't really care if I had a boy or a girl. I just wanted a healthy, cute baby. They have to be cute.
That thing, I don't care. Can we trade in?
Exactly, yeah. So,
baby swap. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So we were, we decided, all right, I'd name the boy, she would name the girl.
Oh, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, and so she came up with the girl name, and my daughter's name is Integrity and Degolia.
That's a great name.
So it was, it just kind of came to my ex, and she, was just like, oh, that sounds good. And while we were in a grocery store, we were walking by we're trying to figure out the nickname for the baby because everybody was.
It's kind of hard to yell at a kid named Integrity.
Yeah. Well, it kind of
it doesn't kind of work. Yeah. Hey, by the way,
it's a big name to live up to.
For sure.
I mean, there's that kind of pressure too that she definitely feels. But I think, let's see. So her nickname though, Kiwi. We were at the time that we found out the baby was on the way. We were trying to figure out life because we were in California at the time.
Oh,
we lived.
Did you go straight from Montana to California?
No. I can tell that story, or do you want me to?
Oh, let's circle back. Circle back.
We'll circle back to that. So we were living in Ukiah, California, which is north of Santa Rosa, California.
Okay.
So it's about 60, 70 miles north of the San Francisco Bay Area. I was attending Mendocino College there, was playing football, and was just exploring, that was plan B of college, was to go play football. So in the middle of the football season, really feeling like I'm hitting my stride, going to college, found out baby was on the way. So we were in the Bay Area visiting my family because my dad's from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
And so while we were in a grocery store, everybody was like, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. So people, how's baby? And people wanted a nickname. And for whatever reason, Kiwi's mom just thought of like, Kiwi. That could be cute.
Look but over also there. There's the display of kiwis.
Yeah, and she was going to be, she was probably going to be this fuzzy little brown baby anyway. So it just fit.
Oh, that's so good.
So she goes by Kiwi really on dad's side.
Okay.
She goes by Integrity. So she lives between here in Coeur d'Alene and Missoula, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she's in Missoula, she's fully Integrity.
Yeah.
Nickname is Tags, so they call her Tags, and she'll do that. But when she's on Daddy's side, it's Kiwi, and that's how everybody knows her as Kiwi.
That's so great. Do you notice? Does her personality change?
Like with mom or dad?
Yeah, because names are such an important thing, and I have this. My biological dad's name is James, and I've known that for a while.
Yeah.
And somehow I just started lining up that every time I met a James, I would try and go into that situation neutral, right? Let's dig this person. And inevitably it was like, God,
just hate them.
They're just dicks.
Fucking hate James.
Yeah. And so, or I tend to attract Bens. I have multiple friends. Two of my best friends are Bens. And so when I meet a Ben, I'm like, I know, right? Right. And of course, I'm a little predisposed to Brandon.
Yeah.
Alex is a pretty solid name, right? Yeah. I'm sure if you meet another Alex, it's like, okay, right? There's like a secret handshake for the names. And so I knew I moved around a lot as a kid, almost every 2 years on average.
Dang.
And at one point, I wanted to start going by my middle name, Scott. And I tried for about a month. And it's like, I am not. My primary identity is not Scott. It is Brandon.
You don't strike me as a Scott.
No, right? Yeah. So I would have Integrity to Kiwi. There's that could be two different versions of her.
I think so. I think she has two different worlds.
Totally.
She has their Missoula world and then her Coeur d'Alene world. And so I would say she's probably different, just based on parenting styles.
I was going to say, yeah,
and environment, and she was born here
in Coeur d'Alene.
She's born here, and then probably since 1, she's been going back and forth.
Yeah,
and she's always had two different worlds, two different ways to act. I think now though, as she's kind of coming into her own. Being a teenager is very confusing time. Well, being a middle schooler is like being an alien, and then you start to kind of come back around into who you
start
are.
To figure yourself out in high school a little bit more.
Yeah. So she's on that path right now, and then you add an extra layer of being multiracial.
Yeah.
And especially being a minority in Coeur d'Alene and Missoula.
Yeah.
That adds another layer.
Yeah.
And she's versatile with her look because she could be she could very well be Native American. She could be maybe partially African American. She could be Filipina, and people in this area just don't know.
Oh yeah, we have no idea here.
Yeah,
it's very white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm hoping that when she goes to college, she goes somewhere. My goal for her, I'd love to see her go somewhere where there's more brown people, and she can understand what it's like to be a majority, rather.
Yeah.
And experience like Filipino culture and learn all of that, because there's a lot of depth there that she just hasn't been able to experience.
Yeah.
You know?
One of my favorite coworkers when I was 17, 18 years old was a guy named Ray from the Philippines.
Love that.
And he married this gal that was really well connected in the government over there. And from my understanding, and I could be totally wrong, I think every country has some corruption, but there's something going on over there. He goes, Brandon, we got to have you over. We'll feed you so good and we'll take care of you. But if you don't do things I like, I'll have you killed. I'm like, what? Philippines sound lovely, but I don't know if I want to put my life in your hands.
No kidding.
Ray.
Yeah.
That is. So is your ex from? Was she?
Ex was adopted at I think it was 6 weeks old. So she doesn't know her biological family at all.
Oh yeah.
Grew up with a white mother and eventually adopted by her white father.
Yeah.
And kind of moved around and eventually ended up in Missoula, Montana.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. We kind of had a mutual friend, and I was here in Coeur d'Alene at the time. She was in Missoula. We dated kind of between Coeur d'Alene, Missoula, Dillon, Missoula, and Ukiah in Missoula. And then she came out to surprise me. And at that time, she wasn't making great decisions. So financially, it was like, maybe you just stay here until the summer session's over.
Yeah.
Just, we're 20, moving fast. First time kind of being an adult and thinking like, oh, we're in love and we'll just move in together. And that was pretty tough, right? Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then 5 months into this roller coaster, we find out baby
surprise.
So we were together 2 years, and then when my daughter was 1, we broke up.
Yeah.
And then she eventually moved to Missoula, and so we've been, it's interesting. Like personally, we just did not get along, but as parents, we've mostly been on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's been...
Co-parenting's great.
Co-parenting is... I know other people's horror stories on co-parenting, and I don't think I could ask for a better situation.
That's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and what do you attribute that to?
Man. Loving your child.
Yeah.
And truly just being like, what's in the bent... at various points in our relationship was like, I do not like this person. I hate this person.
Yeah.
And I know she hated me too.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, what does our daughter need?
Yes.
And that's a relationship with both daddy and mom.
Yep.
And what makes the most sense health-wise, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's been a relief, and especially hearing other people's stories is like, man, I'm glad I don't.
Well,
people die on weird hills that are only at the detriment to their children.
Yeah.
And we've never done that.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of why I wanted to do this podcast is 8 billion people on this planet. We all have unique perspectives. How did we get to those perspectives? And, it kind of fascinates me that society works, right? Because you have so many people all over the map that things like, I would hope that everybody can agree we should take care of our children.
Absolutely.
Right. And that I was just reading a terrible story about, there was some attack and kids got stabbed and killed. And I'm just thinking how, and like 166 stabbings for one of the kids. And how do you get your perception of reality so twisted that you could attack a child? So that's I think, 99.99999% of humanity is going to agree on that point.
Right.
But then you have like this other subset over here of, hey, you and I might not like each other. We connected for a year or two.
Sure.
We ended up having a baby. we can at least agree, even if we disagree on a ton of stuff, that this beautiful child that we brought into the world, we want the best for it.
Totally.
How do we make that work?
Yep.
And it always amazes me that couples that, even if whether it's 2 years together, 20 years together, you bring children into the world and then you make them pawns in your vitriol for each other. That makes no sense to me.
It's very selfish. And it's what it comes down to is it's all ego and selfishness, I think.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you feel like, I'm speaking from outsider looking in. It's like you see these people go, well, this is in the best interest of the kid. And it's like, that's bullshit. It's in your best interest. And you're just fighting on principle against your ex. You're not considering what's best for your kids.
Right.
Yeah. And I think for us, if we've ever had an emergency and it's dropped everything, we're same page.
Yeah.
Just there for her, making sure she's supported, whatever she needs. Sometimes it's awkward having to interact, but it's also like, well, fucking get over yourself and have the conversation to be able to make sure that your daughter's taken care of.
Yeah.
And we've always been on that same page.
Yeah. That's great.
And then, as I'm 37 now, and I was 20 when this all went down.
You learned a lot in those 17 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's like, it's so far removed, it doesn't even feel like that was my life. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I see her mom and we say hi, and her mom's remarried and has another child, and she's doing her thing, I'm doing mine.
Yeah.
And we've had moments where we interact and I'm like, holy shit, I don't know what you've been doing these last few years. Like, we see each other when we exchange.
Right.
But we're completely different people. And that's, like, you have different chapters of your life, and you're in the trenches in the beginning thinking like, God, am I ever going to get through this? And then all of a sudden now I'm like, holy shit, in a year and a half, I'm going to see my baby off to college.
Yeah. Yeah, you have two big milestones coming up. You have your daughter graduating high school. My wife and I were looking at each other the other day going, Gabe's in 8th. He has 4 years of high school. And how did we get to this point where our oldest is going to be graduating? What is that?
Yeah.
And your 20-year high school reunion is next year, in case you needed that reminder.
Dude. I can't wait. Hyped for that.
Are you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not? What my grade was 100 kids.
Oh, really?
And, and most of us are still alive.
Yeah.
And everybody's,
Have you stayed in contact with any of them?
I got 6 of my best friends, like,
to this day.
Kiwis, uncles, are homies from high school.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we're super tight.
Yeah,
there's a group of 7 of us. We call ourselves the homies. So it's like,
homies.
Man, you got the homies, and we didn't stay together after high school. That's the cool thing, is like, we all went on our own journey, but we've always stayed tight. And like, truly, Kiwi looks at those 6 guys as uncles.
That's
and
so
their
great.
kids as cousins. And all of that.
Yeah.
And, she was raised really, truly, like, by a village back in the day.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think you talked about this on another podcast, but it's like, man, there's nothing more humbling when your baby's born and you're like, holy shit, everybody in the world is fucking winging it. Like, like, you think about it, like, you grow up and you're like, okay, cool. One day I'll figure it out. And I'm just going to be like this old guy doing my thing. And then you have a kid and you're like, wait. What? My parents didn't know what they were doing either? What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Dude.
The amount of grace that instantly comes out of that moment when you hold your child for the first time and there's no training manual and you realize what your parents had to deal with and what everybody's dealing with. Yeah. And you might look old, but you're still, I don't care if you're 20, 40, 80.
Yeah.
I still there's like a 16-year-old Brandon, I think, somewhere in here, right?
Yes.
And I like to, I just turned 38.
Love it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's definitely things, you were talking about different chapters in life.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a teenager thinking, I think most teenagers do at some point, think they have it figured out.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember going to my dad.
Kiwi's in that phase. Right?
Oh yeah. And some of it is innocently correct.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember saying to my dad, Mom or Dad, Mom's just mad at you because of XYZ. If you wrote her a nice card and left it for her on the bathroom counter and she walked in and found that, you would just light up her world and you guys would stop fighting.
Did he do it?
I don't think so. But that's the sort of, like innocent way of looking at the world that where when I get into a fight with my wife, that's not the first thing I think. And I need that 16-year-old me to remind me.
I do the same thing.
It's the sweet little things, right? And then you realize in your 20s at some point, generally, oh, I don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And you were talking about hills that people will die on. I don't need to be right.
Sure.
But I need to be convicted.
Mm.
And the only way for me to do that is to test things out. Mm. And so I'll try on different beliefs. I'll try on different ways of seeing the world and going, okay, it's almost like trying to become a good debater, right? You have to be able to debate both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
Which is how I end up seeing a lot of the world. Like we have so much extremism now.
Yeah.
That all this side isn't right, all this side isn't right, and really the answer's somewhere in the middle. So but I need to incorporate how much information can I gather so that I can get a good hold of this thing.
Right.
And I don't know exactly where I'm going with this, other than there's through those chapters in life and figuring things out, it feels like there's a refinement, but at the end of the day, you're still never going to have it all figured out like we thought our parents did.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think when you can realize that, I think you've got it figured out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things where I think I'm a doer. I get stuff done, and I get anxiety when I got a shit ton of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I love checking stuff out.
Oh, I'm a checklist guy.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Love it, dude. Yeah. And even if it's something mundane, like put your shoes on, it's like, if I can just add a little thing to then I'm rolling.
Yeah.
But
you get that little dopamine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is too, is like, I kind of found myself as an adult later on being like, man, why am I anxious? Like what? Like a good example for me is like the dishes, right?
Yeah.
Like you do them, you make them dirty, you clean them, you put them away. Well, putting away, it's like, fuck. And then you put them away and you're like, okay, this is great. And then you get anxious again because there's more dishes. It's like, well, dishes. Alex, come on, dude. Like you have to use the dishes.
Right.
And so I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's a show on Netflix where Jonah Hill sits with his therapist.
I have not seen this.
Dude, it's good. I can't remember the name of it, but his therapist said something that was like, that's what I've been searching for. And that is, he said, you have to realize and accept that that life is constant work. Yeah. And as soon as you can accept that, it's letting go of a lot of things that'll free you up. And I was like, dude, that's so for me, I get anxious about getting things done. Yeah. And I'll bully my way through it. Yeah. Still love the process, but still get anxious. And then as soon as I was like, you know what? I'm going to have dishes tomorrow. That's okay. Yeah. Because I'll get them done. Yeah. You know, I've just that constant work, I think, is to what you were just describing of like, that's when you've arrived. Yes. And then that's also realizing you'll never arrive. Yeah. So that's kind of a mind fuck in and of itself.
Oh gosh, isn't it though?
You know? Yeah. But as you would, I think where I've always learned, grown, developed is like you, through experience, through failing, through hard times. But the goal is always to get to a point where I feel centered. Yeah. And like happy. Yeah. And not even like elated, just like content. Yeah. You know? And it's and so, but also realizing like when you feel good, like fucking just take a second and enjoy that.
It. Smell those roses.
Yeah, because something's gonna happen.
It always does.
You know?
Yeah.
And I love what you said about the 16-year-old you. Yeah. By the way, my daughter is one of the most intuitive old souls that you would ever meet. That. So she is so enlightened, and she'll say things to me. When she starts criticizing me or she says something like, Daddy, you should, then I'm like, I'm listening.
You perk up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's wise beyond years. Yeah. You know, and I love that. And to your point, like you have some ignorance too.
You're right.
And that you have to have that to achieve and to go out into the world and experience.
Yeah.
You know? And
if you're a know-it-all, then you automatically shut yourself off to so many different opportunities and things that you could learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you're impressive too, listening to your 2 podcasts. It's like you had very different people on the first 2 with August and Hannah.
Yeah.
And shout out to those 2. Those are great podcasts.
But
like August too, man. Like that dude is deep.
Oh,
like
man.
I listen to that, I'm like, my fucking head is exploding right now. But you kept up.
Well, part of that is him and I have had a couple cigar sessions.
Okay.
So if you can sit down, smoke a cigar, talk to him for 3 hours, do multiple sessions of that.
Yeah.
Rachel, my wife, criticized me. She criticizes the wrong word. She was giving me positive critiquing.
Yeah.
And she said, you need to act surprised. I'm like, but I'm not, because I've heard these things before. And she goes, right, but your audience hasn't heard any of this.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the heck does Brandon mean? Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, no, that was a deep one because so for me, like, I didn't grow up religious at all.
Okay, I was right, because there's so many different things that shape us. How do you get to be you? And religion tends to be a big one, but not religious.
So my dad grew up, because my grandma was Nicaraguan and from Central America, Catholic was, the big religion. And he went to church. My mom, I don't remember what religion she was. It was not Catholic, though. But both of them got to the point where they're like, 1, I don't like going.
Yeah.
And 2, I'm just seeing so many inconsistencies that I'm not going to put my kids through that.
Yeah.
That's not to say that, like, Kyle and I were allowed to be, and I credit my parents for this, because they just let us be.
Yeah.
I feel like there's 2 ways to raise a child.
Uh-huh.
One of them is raise them to be loved, and the other's to keep them alive.
Yeah.
And they're very different.
Very different.
And we were raised to be loved and fully embrace who we are, even if it was like the most outlandish, weird shit. And
just thinking about your brother's outfit, red boots. I mean, that is.
Yeah, and he rocked the shit out of those. It's just the thing. It was like we became very in on some ends, like, aggressively independent and aggressively us.
Yeah,
but also in some ways, a little too finicky to be able to change. Like, we really have to be like beat up and bullied. To be like, all right, fuck, we should look at this a different way. So we were very confident kids.
Then why would you want to change it?
That's true. It's true. It's true. Yeah. And so no religion for me per se.
Yeah.
And honestly, for like a long time, I was like, it's all a crock of shit. And like a lot of my buddies grew up religious, and the 7 of us would have conversations, and it was really only one of us was like, no, this is fully what I believe. And the rest was like, man, there's certain aspects of it that are cool, and a lot of it that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And like listening to what August was saying, I'm like, I agree with most of that. Like, I'm also an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
And but I think what I've always been, because I was trying to like evaluate myself after August, because it was like, dude, who am I?
Yeah,
this dude is exploding my mind.
Yeah. The first time I talked to him, we're sitting. I think we're at Coach Anito's. And he goes, do you actually want to get into this? Because it's going to rock your world.
Like, I'm about to fuck you up.
Exactly. Yeah. What I'm about to say cannot be unsaid. And it is going to fuck with you. So sit down, strap in, buckle up.
Yeah. But I think what I've always been is on some level spiritual.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, like, I'm a big manifestor.
Oh, I love that.
My entire life, I've thought things into existence.
Yeah.
I have.
Do you give me an example?
So I remember, so Dillon, first and foremost, blue collar town. There's a university there, and it's there's more cows than people, so it's a lot of ranching, it's like, it's hard work.
Yeah.
But it's also like, there's something to valuing a day's worth of honest hard work.
Absolutely.
And so it's also a football town.
Oh, yeah.
So Dillon is one of the football meccas of Montana.
Little 1,000 people.
So there's 4 levels to football in Montana. There's AA, which is like Missoula, Billings, like the bigger places. There's single A, which is a majority of the state, like Dillon, Frenchtown, Stevensville, Whitefish, those kind of places.
Yeah.
Then there's B and C.
Okay.
And those have different levels based on, it's like 6-man football and not 11 guys on the field kind of thing.
Right.
Anyway, growing up in Dillon, everybody wants to be a Dillon Beaver. Like, so Beaverhead County High School Beavers.
Shout out
to the Beavs. Go Beavs. Actually, one of the guys I went to high school with is now the head coach there.
Oh, that's so
shout
cool.
out to Zach.
Yeah.
But the Beavers are like Notre Dame colors. So gold helmet, navy blue. So everybody wants to, everybody wants to rock the blue and gold.
Yeah.
Like, so as a kid, I just remember playing on, recess football, middle school football, just thinking like, man, I'm going to play varsity.
Yeah.
And I'm going to win. I'm going to score touchdowns and all that. Now, I didn't score touchdowns, and that's okay. But I was a part of 28 wins, 4 losses, 1 conference, and 2 state championships.
Congrats.
Thank you. As a varsity football player.
That's wild.
So,
because I come from on the west side, Washington. There was a big scandal because the coach in Bellevue was like recruiting people from outside of his area, outside the school district, and like finding ways like, this is your new address at this apartment. And I'm sure there's
it's like Friday Night Lights stuff.
Totally,
it's like Texas
Friday
football.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we've got Seattle, we've got Tacoma, we've got all those, and you've got, we could get into my one-day football career in high school.
I love it.
It's not very exciting.
Let's hear it.
Okay, quick rabbit hole.
Yeah.
My buddies convinced me to play football. I was a basketball, golf, soccer, baseball, everything but football.
Okay.
And I mean, shoot, middle school, I think I was like 5'10", 230. So I was a big kid.
Yeah.
Had some weight on me. And they go, you got to come out. You got to come out. You got to do football. And so I was one of the last kids to join. I had all the leftover gear. Pants didn't fit the right 2 sizes too big. All those
just
things.
Baggy pants. Yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to cinch it up as much as I can. Throw on my pads and my helmet. Coach says, okay, run laps. And I'm shuffling my feet. I don't want to jog around this thing.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, the girls' soccer team next to us had stopped practicing and were looking at me laughing.
Oh, no.
What the heck is going on? I looked down. My pants were down around my ankles.
Oh, shit.
So then later on in practice, after I got that figured out, I get just blasted by the biggest lineman. I'm on my back, wind knocked out of me. And then a little bit later, I got stung by a bee. I'm like, 3 signs, I'm out. Screw this, I'm out. I subsequently, like in my 20s, we would go and play with a bunch of work buddies.
Yeah.
Tackle, no pads.
Okay.
And after a couple broken clavicles and twisted ankles and stuff, everybody was like, we're too old for this.
It's like rugby.
Oh, it was totally rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't know why.
Love that.
Yeah, I didn't mean that for that diversion to come up.
No, it's great. Yeah.
What I love about the manifesting on your side is you're 5'5".
Yeah. And back then
you've got to be what, $160?
I'm a $140 right now.
And in high school, probably
I was let's see, like at my heaviest was 125.
Not exactly football.
No.
Weight.
No, but I've always
that's
been
a hell of a job of manifesting.
Yeah, it was cool. It's I wouldn't say I was the best athlete. I would say I was a good athlete and a hard worker.
Yeah.
And I believed in myself.
Oh, hard work.
And I totally bought into the program and the culture.
Yeah.
Like we had some coaches, like the teachers and coaches in Dillon, Montana are like second to none in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like they change so many people's lives and they do not get paid enough. And they make an insane
criminally
impact.
Underpaid.
Yes. And so I think it was like my grade, we were told to, so this is also one thing that it's like speaking it into an existence is a total thing.
100%.
And so we had in middle school, so Dillon is like, it's crazy. We're a football mecca, but at the same time, nobody put pads on until 7th grade.
Oh.
So we're playing on recess, flag football, all that. And then in 7th and 8th grade, we didn't even have goalposts. We were literally running like this very basic offense and defense. We'd practice for 5 weeks, play 3 games, and that was it against each other, our grade.
Right.
And when we were leaving in 8th grade, Mr. Lucero, I don't even know if he's still alive. He was my art teacher in middle school. Shout out Mr. Lucero if he's still around. But he said, you guys are going to win state. And the reason why I say that is you have... And he listed all of these things. And it was like one of those things that was unspoken by all of us as kids, but we totally believe we're going to go play high school football and win state. That's just what we're going to do.
Yeah. You just knew it.
Knew it. And they were building a program there for years before we got to high school.
Yeah.
And then some really elite athletes got there a couple grades before us, and a couple guys that went D1. And so it was like there was some, and there were coaches' sons, of course.
Of course.
So they won state in 2000, and that was like our head coach took over in 1987 and finally won state in 2000.
Yeah.
And then in 2003, they won again. We won again, and I was on that team as a sophomore.
Oh, that's great.
And so, but I also was like, dude, I was 5'5", 115 pounds.
What position did you play?
Receiver and cornerback.
Oh, perfect.
So,
I could have called that.
Yeah. And we ran back in the day, like now offenses are pretty spread and throw heavy, pass heavy. Back then, that was not the case, but we converted and we ran this no huddle spread offense.
Oh, you were just wearing out.
Could not keep up with us.
Yeah.
And everybody was smart. We had really good teachers. So we would all look at the play call in and we'd know exactly, like we wouldn't even call it the huddle. Nobody could keep up with us.
Yeah.
We had good athletes.
You were running the Ducks offense before they did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were kind of that era. Like I think at the time, Alex Smith was playing for Utah under Urban Meyer. And like that was that run. And like Boise State was winning bowl games like against Oklahoma, like that kind of era where that spread passing offense was emerging. And so we adopted that early.
Brilliant.
So that fit my skill set.
For sure.
Because I was smaller and so,
I could just see you coming from the slot and just.
Yeah, see, I played wide receiver. I was on the outside. I wasn't even a slot guy.
You were out wide.
I played slot in college because of my size.
Yeah.
But so we just ran this offense, and they had these seniors when we were sophomores, just elite athletes. Like just it was probably 11, 12 of them, and probably 8 of them went and played college sports on some level. Like good athletes.
Yeah.
But what was cool about that was we got to then witness greatness.
Yes.
Like a lot of us got to see the culture.
Yep.
We got to compete with these guys. And I remember thinking like, I have no fucking business being on the field with these dudes.
Yeah.
Like, but also having now grown up and talking to the head coach that I played with, he's like, man, like I totally belong there. I just didn't know I belonged.
I love that.
It was like they had pegged me from my freshman season. Like we're going to develop this guy as a core group of other guys.
Of course.
Right. And so after our freshman year, same thing. We had this thing where, we played Froshmore. So freshmen, sophomores.
Yep.
And we went 2-6. Like we didn't vibe with the grade above us. We just didn't put it together that year.
Right.
Got a lot of reps, but we played a freshman game.
Yeah.
Freshman only. And we waxed Stevensville. We fucked them up.
Oh,
and we got done and it was like, this is who we are as a group of guys.
Yeah.
Like this is what we're capable of. And our coach looked at us and almost exact same words. When you guys become seniors, you guys will win state.
I'm getting shivers.
Yeah. And so sophomore year, we did what's called swinging. So you practice with the varsity, you dress out with varsity, and you play all the Froshmore games.
Okay.
So I was a part of like 19 games as a sophomore, and I was so burnt out at the end of the season. I questioned whether I was going to play again.
Yeah, understandably.
Because it was so many games. It was like Monday practice, Tuesday game, Wednesday full padded practice, Thursday pregame, Friday game, do it all over again.
Yeah. I mean, that not only are you worn out, but your life is football.
It was.
You don't have anything else.
And I was getting into music at the time. I was like playing guitar and starting to get good at it. And I had to choose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just because I just was burnt. I was, so I was like, I'm going to be an athlete.
Yeah.
I don't regret that, but I love music too.
I was going to say, do you still play?
I dabble in it.
Okay,
but not,
dabbling's good.
But yeah. So then we get to junior year and, so we went 11-0, won the conference, won state, watched all these amazing senior athletes go into the college ranks, and we had to regroup. And my junior year, we went 6-3, and I rotated starting with another guy. Like played garbage time as a sophomore. Started getting some legit playing time, but I thought too much. Like I think I'm more of a coach than I am an athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a decent player. I think I'd be a really good coach, and I'd love to coach.
I was going to say, do you?
No, but I would love to, but it just takes a lot of time and dedication.
Yes,
and
it does.
Trying to see my baby off into college first. You know?
Okay, we'll give it a couple of years, and then I expect to see you on the sidelines.
Yeah, I would love to. And so we had this weird thing where we had this 3-way tie for second place in our conference because Hamilton was playing with an ineligible kid and forfeited a game, and we lost this random game to Corvallis, and Corvallis is trash. Stand on that. Yeah. Anyway, so we lost, so we had to win this game, our last game of the season, by 17 points, and we won, but by 7, so we didn't make the playoffs.
Oh, no.
So we had a winning season, but what I noticed about that year was like, man, I love playing defense. I could see everything. I was starting to put it together. And that's also like when you put the matrix together in certain aspects of your life, it doesn't matter what it is, recruiting for me now or anything professionally, personally. It's like all of a sudden when it all slows down, you're on a different level.
Yeah.
You know? And so then our senior year, we go in and junior year at the end, one of the seniors or one of the juniors in my class, we're walking off and like, we were ready to be done with that 6 and 3 year. We just didn't like the seniors, the grade above us. They
even when it was freshman, sophomore, you guys didn't quite click. So there was something up with that class just
NPCs.
above you.
A bunch of NPCs. They weren't main characters, you know?
Yeah.
So they were in the background.
Good call.
And so, but as we were walking off the practice field, this guy named Bob, shout out Bob, I don't know where he's at. He's somewhere international. But Bob looked and he said, next year, we're just going to win state. And it just kept happening.
I was going to say, that's the third time that you've mentioned your art teacher, your coach, and now Bob all said, you guys are going to do this.
Mm-hmm. And I remember like laying in my bed, you know, as a kid, picturing myself being successful, picturing myself winning. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. So this is all like as an adult reflecting like, holy shit, I remember thinking about this like before I was even in high school.
Right.
In our senior year, we go 7-0, clinch the playoff berth. And we had, oh, by the way, that junior year, 2004, was the last time the Dillon Beavers were not in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I also hold that record. But
the tradition of greatness.
Yeah. So that was the last time. So that's also like credit to Dillon they've been in the playoffs every year since 2004.
That's incredible.
And so our senior year, we go 7-0, and we hadn't lost at home for 2 or maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And our senior night, we're playing Frenchtown, and whoever wins the conference and gets a first round bye.
Yeah. And
we lost at home. I think it was 19-27 or something. We lost by 8. And it was such like, it was like, what the fuck happened? You know? And
we knew what was going to happen, and this is derailing it.
Yeah. But as we were shaking hands, I looked at the quarterback of the other team of Frenchtown, and I said, we'll see you again.
Yeah.
So then we get into the playoffs, right? I was like, we'll see you again, right? And so go to the playoffs, first round, we're playing Whitefish. We're down 14-12 at halftime. We end up winning 27-14.
Oh, yeah.
So we advance to the
Good
divisional
halftime
round.
Adjustments.
Yep. Go to the divisional quarterfinals. Go to the quarterfinals. We have to travel 8 hours one way to Miles City, Montana.
East side
of Montana. It's the edge of the earth. It's
because there's nothing beyond that, literally.
I truly, exactly. It's flat.
Yeah.
It's the furthest east I've been in Montana. I've never been that way otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. And we showed up, and these dudes were grown-ass men. I remember thinking, like,
they all have mortgages.
Are huge. Yeah. Like, these guys probably have 2 or 3 kids and came from work this afternoon, you know?
In the oil fields.
Exactly. Yeah. And so we duked it out with them, man, because we were that Dillon blue collar. We were decent athletes with nothing but belief and hard work.
Yeah,
and we just showed up and heart.
Yeah.
We tied the game. We went into triple overtime.
Good night.
And we won 24-21. and we rocked the entire state because Miles City was supposed to be the one who won the championship.
Yeah.
So we flipped the entire state on its head, thinking like, all right, Dillon had a good run. They won in the first round. They're not getting through Miles City.
No. Do you remember how long the field goal was?
Oh, it was short. It was
good.
was probably 15 to 18 yards.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like 14-14. Then we trade scores 21-21. Then we go into double overtime. We stall out. We have to stop them. And this kid rolls out, and a linebacker and a defensive end smacked this guy, and the quarterback went like this, and the ball flew out, and I recovered it in the end zone.
Oh, you left that little detail out.
Oh, yeah. So I actually got player of the game this game.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, Wheat Montana player of the game.
Yeah.
And I think I had 2 catches, but I think I had double-digit tackles and a really long punt return. And
yeah.
And
so you did that in the end zone. So they were about to score.
They were probably 5 yards away, and he was like 3, and he got hit, and he just he was trying to reach, I think, and he got smashed in between 2 guys, and the ball popped off, and I caught it in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so then we went to triple
beautiful.
overtime and stopped them, and then we kicked the field goal to win.
Jeez.
And it was like, I mean, people were crying, and that was the thing. Is like,
can you still feel that night? Do you have like, is there?
Yeah,
there's memories in there
absolutely.
that you instantly go back to.
Yeah, and I remember I had like this good luck towel. I was like me and a homie were like real.
There's some
routine.
superstition there.
Yes,
Yeah.
I had like this towel that I would wear. Like he accidentally ripped his sock and was like, "You need to put this on your arm for good luck." And I put it on and I wore it all season. Just this little sock rip, right? And all of a sudden that game, I lost both of those.
Oh no!
I'm like looking around. I'm like, where the fuck is it? I still don't know where they are, but I came out and I had like long sleeves and leggings on because it was November, you know, in Montana. And I remember my brother was like, I saw you come out and I was freaking out because you didn't have your towel. And like, he was like, I knew that you were freaking out about this.
Yeah.
But we ended up winning.
Yeah.
And, but what I remember most about that is seeing these grown, big ass, manly Eastern Montana men bawling.
Yeah.
Because they were done.
Yeah.
You know, like their season was over. And like, on one hand, you feel bad because you're like, holy shit, we did that.
Yeah.
But it was such like this, there was destiny. You know, it just was totally destiny because what we did then was we flipped home field advantage because we traveled too, but now all of a sudden we're the top seed.
Oh, yeah.
So Belgrade, which is outside of Bozeman, Montana, they've grown so much, they're now AA, but at the time they were single A.
Yeah.
And so duked it out with them. And, it was, we must have been down 13-7.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we crawled back up and we're winning 20-13.
Yep.
And they're driving down the field. And I remember thinking this, as we were on the field, all the Dillon kids are focused. We're looking at them and they're announcing scores of the other semifinal game. And they're like, oh my God, Frenchtown's beating Butte Central. Like I remember thinking like, these motherfuckers are not even thinking they're going to lose this game. They're not taking us seriously.
Yeah.
So they drive down the field similar. They're in the red zone and they had this all-state running back. Huge dude.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. He was Derrick Henry-esque in Montana football.
I do not want to tackle a man like that ever.
Grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Linebacker running at a,
freight train.
Truck speed. And they're on the goal line and they hit this guy. And when they hit him, however he fell, he literally flopped like this and fell on his back and the ball was out. And I grabbed the ball.
Johnny on the spot.
Yeah,
Alex.
and I grabbed the ball and I was trying to like run, but my buddy kept pushing me down.
Were you in
because
the end zone?
we were on the 1 yard line.
Oh.
Like 1 to 3 yard line.
Yeah.
Right in that red zone.
Right.
So we recover the ball, but now we had to convert to be able to run the clock out.
Yeah.
And so we went for it. It might have been 4th down in our own red zone. And the coach was like, yo, y'all boys need to like nut up and we need to convert this or it's wrap kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And we converted and ran the clock out
Brilliant.
to go to state. Guess who we play in state?
Team of Destiny.
Yes. Guess who we play in state?
Frenchtown. Oh,
in
and I'm
Frenchtown.
sure in Frenchtown.
Because they won the conference We would have played at home
Right,
had
if you
we
had
not played had we played anybody else.
Anybody else. Oh, what was the week like leading up to that game?
Man, we were so locked in.
Oh, I'm sure.
It wasn't like it was. I just listened to this podcast last night with Nick Saban.
Oh, yeah.
And he said something that I'm like, that's what I'm hitting as an adult is he goes, I don't have what's it called? Relief syndrome.
Oh.
He goes, when you start winning, you get that like that deep breath.
Yeah.
And then you kind of rest on your laurels, and then you get a little bit sloppy, and then you expect to win.
Uh-huh.
And I think as an adult, I do that. I'm like, I've been thinking about that all day today.
Oh.
But at that time, we were so focused and locked in. We weren't even, it was like, yeah, this is cool that we're going to state, but we're on a mission now.
Yeah.
You know, like we just believed we were going to do it, but we had to stay focused. So that week it wasn't grab ass. We weren't fucking around. You
guys were locked in. Well, and you have so many different things that are playing a factor there, right? We talked 3 different people that said you guys are going to win state when you're a senior. You have Frenchtown beat you. Yeah. And that alone would have locked you in.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have these amazing games leading up to the championship that just, it's a movie. It's a movie.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where I've realized a few times in my life where you get with a special group of people.
Yeah.
And especially as a young person, you don't realize it's special until it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I acted in a couple plays, and like being in a play with that cast, being on this team with these coaches and these players. This is the only time you guys are going to be together.
Yeah.
That is so special.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm 37 years old talking about something that happened almost 20 years ago this year that this happened.
Oh, but this started with manifestation.
Yeah.
Right? And spirituality.
Yep.
And look at what an impact that had on the way that you still view the world at 37 years old.
Football had taught me so many life skills.
Yeah.
That's why I pay so much tribute to it.
Yeah, of course.
And also I think it hindered me a little bit later in life, and we can get into that. But
we'll circle back.
So state championship, we go to Frenchtown. I'll never forget it. November 19th, 2005.
Yeah.
And as we get into state, they're announcing the starters. And I go up against that quarterback because they announce us, and we shake hands, and I hugged him, and I said, I told you we'd see each other again.
Yeah, you did.
And he was like, he tapped me on the head, and we went away. Well, so go into the game, we're down 20-7.
Oh, yeah.
Fourth quarter. And it's like, fuck, what are we doing? Like,
you got 15 minutes to score at least 2 and hold them.
We weren't connecting for whatever reason, but something happened. They scored and were running all over us, and they went to kick the extra point, and they missed it. When they missed it, one kid goes, oh my God, dude, they missed the extra point. We're going to win. We're going to win. And as we're running off, I remember being like, yeah, we are. Like, I didn't even doubt it. It was like, we just got to take care of business. All of a sudden, boom, we moved downfield, 14-20. And earlier in that year when we played in the first time, so I played corner, and we had a certain defense because they ran what's called like a wishbone. Yeah. So it was like tight ends, running backs everywhere. It was total discipline. Yeah. Like wishbone, wing tee, all of that stuff. You can't look about what's going in. You have to understand what your role is. Right. And stick to your job.
Yeah. If you miss your gap, if you miss your lane, if you miss any of that stuff, you're screwed.
Exactly. And in our senior night, the last game of the year that we lost against them, we had some DBs who we had to spot this one guy because this guy named Stephen Failer went to the NFL. Oh. He was legit. He played tight end at University of Montana. Yeah. And, he was kind of like you when you were in middle school. Like, he was a man amongst boys. Dude was huge, great athlete. Well, that first game, he ran all over us. And senior, like, during practice that week, I remember being like, I'm not going to... I'm just doing my job, but I picked the ball off a couple times in practice. that week leading up to that game, and our defensive coordinator is like, Alex, you're shadowing him.
Oh, geez.
This dude's 6'4", probably 215.
Yeah,
I'm
he's got
5'5".
almost 100 pounds on you.
Yeah, I'm 5'5", 125, but I shadowed him the whole game. And
that's amazing.
It was a cool thing. For me, it was like, I just got to mind my shit.
Yes.
Like, I just have to pay attention.
Yeah. Be disciplined.
Yep. And that's
Stay
who I
hyped.
was. Like, I wasn't going to play outside of my game, and I didn't think that I was a superhero. I just did my job.
Yeah.
You know? And to say that, like, first round of the playoffs, the reason why I also earned this right was because there was a state champion high jumper for Whitefish, and they'd run this post corner. So they'd get you on the post, and they'd get you to turn your hips, and he would run that way.
Uh-huh.
And they said, get ready. It's coming. It's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming. I watched it, and I remember I started backpedaling. He does the post. I'm like, I know he's going to the corner, and I out-jumped him in the end zone for an interception.
Yes!
For a touchback.
Oh,
And so,
brilliant.
so I was disciplined, and I watched this, and it was like, you know, like, I wasn't the greatest athlete, but I could jump with a high jumper and pick the ball off. You know, so I'm following this guy around most of the game, and was able to out-jump him to knock the ball down to get the ball back for us to be able to then drive down the field and score a touchdown.
Beautiful.
And we won 21 to 20.
Oh my gosh, what a story.
Yeah.
What an experience.
It was the first time in my life where I'd experienced what complete dedication, focus, getting your mind right, working hard, actually seeing it come to fruition and pay off.
Yeah.
You know, it was like that, like, holy shit, if you believe in yourself
Yeah.
and you do your job, good things will happen.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But also, like, we did it. This is what I pride myself on, is like, we also were the first state championship team at the time that had lost a game. Everybody else went undefeated.
Right.
So I always like to put a little bit of my flair on things.
Well, and
you
that's
know?
so important, because you could have lost faith at that point, right?
Yeah.
All this hard work. I mean, you said after sophomore and junior year, you're like, dang,
Yeah.
am I doing this again?
Yeah.
And so you could have quit at those points. You could have been more interested in music.
Mm-hmm.
Girls could have come calling.
Yeah.
Schoolwork I'm sure you were probably still a good student.
Yeah.
But there's any number of things that could have distracted you. You could have taken that loss and said, yep, nope, this isn't it.
Mm-hmm.
I know people have said we're going to win this one, but this is proof right there that we're not. I mean, there were so many different things that could have knocked you off of your path, but you stayed the course, the dedication, the hard work, the focus, everything that you just said, and look at what the result was.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a cool
It was amazing, man.
thing to absorb and to shape who you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, like, you know, I was captain of that team too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was
I would have
cool.
loved in a huddle having you do a pregame. That
Yeah.
would have been
was
something.
fun.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that clicked.
Yeah.
Just meant to be. You know
Yeah.
what it is? Like, you know how when you get into something, you're like, man, it just happens. For
yeah. Well, and that's the other. You had a good crew of guys.
You. Mm-hmm.
They all bought in.
Mm-hmm.
The camaraderie.
Yep.
Man, talk about will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And manifestation.
Yep.
That's wild.
And I took that into my adult life.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
how does that show up today?
Yeah. Well, I think for a little bit, you know, my girlfriend and I talk about this too. Shout out, Erin. Love you. But
Shout out, Erin.
Yeah, shout out. I think she should be on this, by the way.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
We'll have her
would
on.
love to introduce you to her.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be great.
where was I going with this? Oh, we talk about, like, you kind of, like, when I left high school, I was like, I got this thing figured out.
Yeah.
I'm going to take over the world.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You're on cloud 9.
Yeah. And I got humbled really quick. And I needed to be,
Yeah.
you know, but I think everybody's trying to figure themselves out in their 20s,
Absolutely.
you know, and then I was trying to figure out myself by also raising a baby.
Yeah.
You know, so it was very confusing, hard time. And I think, so you asked this question earlier, now that we're here, when
Yeah.
I left Dillon.
I was going to say, it sounds like it was pretty rapid movement from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I moved to Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
And I went to the
We were just there
University
in
of Hawaii
summer.
at Manoa. And
Nice.
my goal was I want to get as far from Dylan as possible.
Well, that's it.
Yep. I want to be a minority. I want to experience different culture. I want to be in a big city at a bigger university. And like Hawaii had all of those things.
Yeah. Check.
Yep. But I was a young man with some unrealistically high expectations about what life should be like.
Uh-huh.
And so I didn't just ride the wave and just let it come to me. I was really like flustered by a lot of things. You know, being in Dillon from, you know, barely 2 until 19, I thought I was a funny dude. I thought, like, I was realizing, these jokes aren't hitting. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, all of a sudden, people got to figure out my personality. It takes a long time to get to know people. I took that for granted.
You're in a town where everybody knows everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, like, how long it takes to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and how, like, also, I'd had my brothers as my best friends. And then all of a sudden I'm meeting convenience friends. What the fuck is that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, oh, if it works out for your schedule and works out, I still struggle with that. Like, if it works out for you and me, then we'll get together. But then it's also
otherwise
like,
we're never going to see each other again.
And I pour myself into relationships. And so that was really jarring for me. And so I started trying to find what is it that makes me feel together.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to play football again.
Okay. Yeah.
So started training and put together a highlight film from high school, started looking for schools, and it came down to Mendocino College, College of the Redwoods, and Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. And I decided, like, all right, well, plan A lasted 4 months when I thought this thing was going to be 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to go play junior college football so that way I can ease into it, and if I don't like it, I can finish my degree still.
Keep your options open.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so so I moved back here to Coeur d'Alene because at the time, my older brother, who I mentioned, Eric, was living and working here at North Idaho College.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll just live with him, reset, be on the mainland, save some money, still go to college.
Yeah, because you are not saving money in Hawaii.
No. And I was paying out of pocket there too. So it was like, you know, I wasn't on scholarship or anything. And
yikes.
Anyway, it was like, I'll save money, figure out what I'm doing. Ended up meeting my daughter's mother, and then went and played football at Mendocino. And, you know, 8 games in or whatever, found out baby was on the way.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting season too, because we went 8-3, we went 5-0 in the Bay Valley Conference. We went to the Capitol Shrine Bowl. Like, we had a legit team.
A good team.
Played with some dudes who went D1, Memphis, Marshall, Sacramento State, Portland State, bunch of guys who went NAIA, like a lot of good athletes.
Yeah.
And I had to earn my way onto the field. You know, it was like,
Which is the best. That's what we should want.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I worked my ass off from Hawaii through. So I have no qualms saying that, like, I was the best, in the best shape of the team. Because I also trained at elevation here and in Montana, and then I went to sea level, crushed everybody.
Oh yeah, because you could breathe.
Yeah, wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but like the most well-rounded, and I was so locked in.
And again, I mean, the same thing that made you successful in high school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, the discipline and the drive.
And one of my all-time best days of my football career, practice.
Yeah.
I had a game or a day of practice. I had 0 drops.
Yeah.
One of the best days of my career, and nobody saw it. You know, but I also love practice.
Yeah, we talking practice.
Yeah, exactly. But I liked the process.
Yes.
You know, I like getting.
Well, is it Kobe that said you have to love the process?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we good team, lot of success, got some playing time, kind of garbage time on offense, but played special teams and was just back on the doing field. It. Yeah, back playing ball. But
and
also
something you love.
Something that I love, but also like it was way different because junior college football, I think we talked about this when we had lunch, was if you watch the Netflix Last Chance U, that's every junior college everywhere, no matter what athletics it is. But the key to that is like everybody was there to get a scholarship. Nobody was there to like be a team.
Yeah.
You know, we were a team. We had relationships and we had a good dynamic. We had some good athletes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't high school.
No. Yeah, it's not a brotherhood.
Yeah.
The same way. It's almost, what did you call them? Convenience relationships?
Convenience friends. Yeah. And
we happen to be on the same field, and so we should probably get along.
Yeah, we're in the same uniform, but I'm trying to get my Scully. You're trying to get yours. Like, and for me, I was just there to play football and be a part of a locker room again, because that's what I missed, you know?
That culture is so special.
Oh, but it could be anything. It could be a play, basketball team, whatever it is. Right. Like that group and being in something in the trenches with somebody else is so powerful.
Yeah.
You know?
It's almost like you can tell people that have never worked retail. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you have to experience working retail at least once in your life, because then the amount of respect and the way that you treat people in retail totally shifts.
Yes.
If you've never been in a team dynamic, to your point, a play, a sport, name the thing, you think you're a powerful manifestor by yourself, and you are. But when you have multiple people on the same page manifesting the same thing,
get out of the way.
Some magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would take a hardworking team that believes over a talented team.
100%.
You know?
10 times out of 10. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
And but I you know, trying to find this sense of belonging as a young man, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not feeling it here.
Yeah.
You know, like it was fun, but it was different.
Yeah.
And baby's on the way. So then it was like, well, I don't want to live in Montana again. Montana's a great place to be from.
Yep.
It's a closed chapter in my life. Yep. But I was like, I want to be close, but not too close. So Coeur d'Alene was like a good perfect mix.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. And so that's kind of how I came here, left, and came back.
Yeah.
And I've been here ever since. Yep. Yeah. I've been here since 2008.
Yeah.
So I was just telling somebody else, I'm like, holy shit, I've lived here almost longer than I lived in Dillon.
Yeah.
You know? And like, that's a weird thought to me.
Yeah.
Because I never thought I'd be here, man. I didn't think I would be living in Idaho at all.
No, anybody that's didn't start off in Idaho, nobody thinks they're going to end up in Idaho and stay here.
Well, and growing up in Montana, you're like, I'm out of Montana. And then you're like, fuck Idaho. No way. No way.
I was born in Oregon, lived in Washington most of my life, and same thing. It's like, what the fuck is this Idaho thing?
Yeah.
There's a great joke in a Mormon movie where this guy gets his mission call and he opens it up and he goes, I'm going to Boise, Idaho. And then it cuts later and he's just ecstatic. And it cuts later and he goes, where's a map? Like, it's like nobody thinks about Idaho.
I forgot that you grew up LDS.
Yes.
So in Dillon, huge spillover.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Because you have Salt Lake City, which is 5 hours away from Dillon.
Yep.
And then you have all of eastern Idaho. So like,
yeah,
very familiar with the Mormon culture and religion and all of that. But like, I always joke too, like, how disappointed are you to go on a mission to like Driggs, Idaho, or like Dillon, Montana? You're like, oh
yeah. Well, and the worst within that culture is you're going to Salt Lake.
Yeah,
like you're going to the mothership. Yeah, you're going to the Mecca. Well, okay, all right. What are you going to do? Knock on doors? Everybody's
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's Idaho, Utah, Arizona. It's a Mormon belt.
Yeah.
In the country, you've got the Southern Bible Belt. You've got the Mormon Belt too. There's
totally. Yeah. And it's funny for me because like I'll talk to people and they're like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "Well, dude, I mean, Dillon was very Mormon. Very Mormon.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and so of your homies,
none of us. Sorry. One of us was, but Jack Mormon, right? So
you even know the term.
Yeah. So he was done. Here's a joke. I had another buddy. He goes, "If you grew up Mormon, do you have a trampoline in your backyard?"
Yes.
He goes, nailed it. Every Mormon has a trampoline in their backyard.
Oh, it's so true. We would no longer Mormon, but we would still have one in the backyard if the landlord would let us.
Totally.
Can't wait to buy our house here in about a month.
Yeah, dude, that's exciting.
Yeah, I broke my brother's ankle on a trampoline. Actually,
I got a concussion on one.
Oh yeah, they're death traps.
Yeah, but they're great. It's a rite of passage as a child, Mormon or not.
Yeah, it totally is. Oh gosh, it's too good.
Yeah. So, I can't remember where we're going with this, but
so we started with the spirituality, and maybe we should circle back on spirituality. Since, I mean, right, coming back to touching on Mormonism. Mm-hmm. So you've approached life not with a religious upbringing, but knowing that you could manifest. And that's, I mean, that in and of itself is such a valuable lesson, because one of the things that I find interesting in most religions is there's this external God that, through whatever his decisions are, and his ways are above our ways,
Sure.
decides to bless you or not bless you.
Right.
Right. Regardless of anything that you do, or sometimes depending on the religion, depending on what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have that framework and you realize, if there's something that I want, I'm going to go make this thing happen.
Yeah.
That shifts the way that you approach life.
Right.
And so maybe more there. What's the, how has your spirituality developed in other ways?
I would say probably last 4 years, I've put more, I guess, definition behind my beliefs.
Yeah.
Because growing up, it was always like, man, I'm not religious in any sense of the word.
Yeah.
None. And I also felt like, how can you truly be yourself if you're always being told what not to be?
Right.
And so for me, it was like, my philosophy, I'm really proud of this, even as a kid, was like, I need to go out into the world and experience stuff so I can tell a story.
Oh,
because stories are what it's all about.
Yeah.
But it was also like, I've had a lot of integrity in my life.
Yeah, you have.
Playing words,
yeah, you have.
But in the sense of like, man, if I do something wrong, I'm going to admit it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to beat myself up over it. Yeah, it's going to stick with me. I'm not going to regret it, but I'm going to learn something from it, and I'm going to be honest with the fact that I fucked up.
Yeah.
Because I think saying sorry and admitting that you're wrong, or your feelings are hurt, or you're feeling threatened, or whatever it is not a masculine thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's really hard to do.
Yes.
And I've never been able to live with myself lying.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's like, well, whatever it is, like, if I looked at porn as a 17-year-old, I don't want to go to hell for that. I think that's bullshit. It's like just things like that. There was like, I just don't align with all of this stuff. But I also thought was like I didn't realize that I was spiritual. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, like, I've always felt energy.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like, I've always said this, I'm not religious, but I always believe that things happen for a reason. Absolutely. Now, one thing that I know that August was talking about that I'm like, I think I'm okay with it, is like, I fully recognize that there's some stuff beyond us that I don't think us as humans will ever be able to comprehend. Yeah. And I'm okay with, like, I'm fine with that. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's ways to rationalize and create stories and all of these things and lessons. But like, I think for me, I've always been an energy guy and like a vibe guy. And like, I also, having children now, I'm like, man, if there is a God, it's got to be a woman. It's got to be a female, man. Because if you look at what a female's body goes through to grow a human being,
yes, it's
like, okay, why is God a he? Like, if it's a creator, he or she is a creator. I'm always like, man, I gotta believe that's a woman.
It's gotta be a woman. I've always thought the highest calling in life is mother.
Okay.
Right? Because I mean, that having to go through that, your body changes, you carry that baby, you nurture that baby.
And there's a connection we just won't have.
We just won't have. Yeah. So, the guest that I had on in between you and August, actually, he said he was a Marine.
Cool.
And he was making the point that, like, if you're a civilized society, why would you ever send women into combat? They are, and he's thinking very biological on this.
Sure.
They're your breeders.
Yeah.
Men are expendable.
Right. We're fucking idiots too.
And we're idiots.
We're just meant to fight and butt heads.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But women there is a biological necessity to have as many of them as you can if you want your society to thrive.
And I will trust a female's judgment or a woman's judgment over a man's any day.
Well, and isn't that funny? Because I think most people look at women and go emotional, and look at guys and go tactical, right? Yeah. Matter of fact.
Yep.
Factual.
Yeah.
And but but they're in touch with their intuition.
Totally.
They're in touch with the vibe. They're in touch with all of that in a way that because we want to just look at the facts, we are blind to.
Yeah. And I'm a big trust your gut guy. I think my entire life I've always just like, what's that feeling? I got to trust that. I'm going to go with that. But also if I'm like any question, like if I'm questioning somebody's character and I'm like, Kiwi, what do you think of that guy? And if she's like,
trust the old
I don't
soul.
like him, then it's like, why? And she'll tell me, and it's like, And I'm a pretty good judge of character too. I feel like I'm a very intuitive person.
Yeah.
Big vibe guy. And if it's like, I've told my girlfriend multiple times, she'll be like, oh, so-and-so's, they really like him. I think, what do you think? Do you think their relationship's going to work out? I'm like, no, I don't like that guy at all. And like it continues to happen where I start to call the shot, and Erin, my girlfriend, she's like, oh no, now it's going to go this way, you know? But also like if
this is how this book ends.
You're right.
I know you're in chapter 1, but I skipped ahead.
Yeah, totally. But also it's like if I'm in doubt, business-wise, decision-wise, whatever, and I would rather have a woman's take on it and trust that over like, hey, homie, what do you think of this over there? Like, I don't know, man, just go with it. And you're like, all right, cool. And then you're like, oh, fuck that up, you know, like.
That is spot on. I don't know how many of those conversations I've had.
Just go for it, man.
Just go for it. Yeah, I don't know.
And sometimes that's good. You know, you need to do that.
Yeah. Well, and how did you, because that, being in tune with that is really, I think everybody has it, but it's a skill that people have to practice and pay attention to utilize a lot of the time.
Yeah.
How did you get there?
And I gotta think it's my mom and dad for sure. Yeah. My dad he's not a big ego guy. He's an actor, so he's a creative, you know, I'd say. He does voiceover now for a living, and I just think my dad was always a good example of how to just speak your emotions and be honest. And then my mom also was, just because we were raised to be loved and just like, hey, be you, but express yourself.
Yeah.
I think inherently I just took that on to be like, man, I have to be honest then.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm going to be authentically me, then that means if I mess up, I got to say it. Yeah. And say sorry.
Yeah.
And admit that I was wrong and all of those things. And also like, I think that's a magic power.
Oh,
man, if you're like, you know, you've been in your job now for a year. When you first show up to a new job and you mess up, you have two choices. You could either lie and be like, oh, I don't know what happened here. Or you can be like, man, I didn't know that was wrong. I did it. I'm sorry. And most people go, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's fix it and just keep going.
Yeah.
You create a bigger issue if you lie about things.
100%.
You know, whether that's an intimate relationship, a friendship, whatever it is.
Yep.
You know?
Well, because it's a shaky foundation. Eventually, most of the time it gets found out, or it's going to cost you at some point.
Yeah.
That energy can't go without getting corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Karma thing, whatever you want to call it. Like, it will. And I remember as a kid just feeling like I can't live with myself if I'm going to be dishonest.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you always experiment as a kid. And, oh, no, I didn't do this, whatever it is, you know, and just remember just those feelings of even something like, oh, no, this isn't my coffee. Like as a kid was like, would eat me. Yeah. And it was like, I'm not even going to do that.
What a cool inner
I've been talking to myself in my game my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, and I've realized I don't think that many people do that as honestly and as regularly as I thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and that's cool too. I mean, we've been talking about ego, and you talked about anxiety earlier too. And my wife's a good example. She's got, we call it her inner critic. Yeah. Right. That thing that just beats her up to the point where it makes her anxious, because then there's no comfort there. There's no reassurance. And so there is like the intuitive piece, but that's separate from this inner critic. Yeah. And I heard, I can't remember what the book was that I was reading, but the person made the point, if you have an inner critic like that, would you like think of it like a roommate? Would you want that person to stay in the house with you?
Yeah.
But there's a difference between that criticism and that, oh, you're never going to be good enough, and why did you do it that way, and that negativity versus, are you within your values? Are you being true to yourself? Those are, I think it may come, I mean, where does all of it generate from?
Yeah.
Right. That's
man.
yeah. But yeah, what a cool inner guide.
Yeah. It's I struggle with it sometimes too, because you get people in your circle and people you love, and all of a sudden you start holding them to a higher standard.
Yeah.
And then almost being ultra critical. And I got to be careful about that because I hold myself to an extremely high standard, but it's not fair to me to project my own internal standards.
You
on
didn't
other
do the
people.
dishes.
Yeah. What the fuck? Why are you not stressed about this like I am? Now I'm mad and I'm holding resentment about this. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's Kiwi has taught me so much about like this is the main character podcast, but
yes, it is.
Man, when you have a kid, you're not the main character.
No.
And I have fully embraced that, and I love being a supporting character in her story.
Oh, I love that.
I love to do that. But I also realize too, man, they teach you something. They humble you. Your kids humble the hell out of you.
So fast.
And I think one thing that I have realized recently is as my daughter gets older, and she starts to now verbalize who she is, what she's going through, her traumas, whatever the case may be. It's like, oh, fuck. You want to see so much of yourself in your kid and see your personality manifest itself in somebody else. But I've realized that's not who she is.
Right.
That's been a really hard transition for me of being like, oh, okay. She's her own person and she's influenced by me, but she's not like doing what I would do. She's not, it's weird. I don't even know how to describe it, but recently it's like, oh my God, I've been parenting her in a certain way. And it's like a coach yelling at his player to do this thing the way that the standard is, but then realizing, well, shit, that's not how they respond to coaching. That's not their strength.
Right.
And like, man, that sucks that I've been harping on my kid a certain way to be like, oh, fuck. I'm finally just realizing she doesn't respond to coaching like that.
Yeah.
I have to change.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
but what a humble way to approach that.
That's hard. It wasn't easy.
No.
Yeah. And there was definitely strife between us, you know, and there was awkward times and difficult conversations. But also it's like, man, if I'm going to keep pounding my head against the wall and coaching her this way, I'm going to push my daughter away. Yes. And my daughter's one of my best friends. Yeah. I'm not, and it's like, I will do whatever adaptation to maintain the relationship, for sure. And so that's been a new thing for me of like, I got to take that aggressive standard that I project onto myself and be careful about how I do that to other people. Yeah. Like, can't do that to my girlfriend. Can't do that to my daughter. Because they're different. They're different people. Like, I can be a good example and they can see how I do it, but I have to understand that how I communicate and coach them or talk to them about a certain situation. Yeah. They're not going to see it the same way I am. Right. No, different experiences. They're going to come to a different conclusion. Yeah. Well, and we were talking about the maturity process before, right? Knowing everything as a teenager, realizing you don't know anything, and then maturing out of that. And what do you actually know? What don't you know? Yeah. And so many points along the way reinforcing or reshaping the way that you see the world. Yeah. And my brother's a really good example of this. Him and his wife got into an argument because she came into the kitchen and the way that he was cracking his eggs was driving her crazy. Okay. And it was, why do you do it that way? Right. And it was critical, right? It wasn't curiosity. It was critical. Yeah. And I'm sure one of them ended up sleeping on the couch that night because it turned into this whole, why are you criticizing me? And when we are egoful, we aren't willing, we think we have it right. Yeah. Right. And
why don't you like being coached this way? This is the way that works. It's the way that worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I'm always amazed at people that are visual learners versus auditory learners versus tactile versus what's the best way? Well, that answer is going to be different for everybody.
Yep.
And to think that I want to be convicted in the things that I know work, but I also don't want to force those beliefs on anybody. And so if I think I'm right, I'm gonna stand my ground. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase that. I'm going to try and display why that's the right way.
Sure.
And then if somebody comes along with a better way, fantastic.
Totally.
And that's where I get in arguments with my kids, is when they're doing something that doesn't work. I'm like, there's a better way to do this. And they aren't willing to look. Okay. I don't want to keep watching you hit your head against the wall, but I guess I have to wait until it's your idea. I can't force anything on you.
That's super hard.
That's the hard part.
Yes. Because you're like, hey, I've experienced some shit, kid. I'm trying to help you. Yeah. I'm trying to make your life easier.
Don't touch the stove.
Yeah. And they're like, you're dumb. And you're like, oh, all right. Touch it then.
All right.
Touch it.
Yeah.
You know?
Although those are some of my favorite moments when, especially my oldest now, my 13-year-old, he'll come back and go, Dad, you were right. And then to humbly accept that instead of just,
I told you.
Yeah. It's,
I've been telling you for years.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, parenting is the most beautiful and heartbreaking thing all in one.
All wrapped into one.
Yeah. But it teaches you a lot, you know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I could do, like, my daughter didn't sleep either. Like, I remember thinking when I don't think she slept a full night until she was like 6.
Oh no.
And I remember thinking early in her life being like, okay, I guess I'm going to sleep when I die. I just like, I am so tired.
In fact, I invited her at this point.
At this point,
just now.
Yeah. Forever asleep sounds pretty good right now because I'm so tired.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's you're humbled along the way. Like, it's so cool to see them grow up and experience things, but it's so like you're trying to raise them to be this productive, independent person, but as they start to exhibit that, then you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You don't need me anymore? Or like,
right.
You think I'm dumb or whatever, you know? It's...
So you just said a minute ago, seeing certain parts of yourself in her.
Yeah.
What? You want to get her off to school?
Yeah.
When you look back, what is going to be, how will you measure that you were a successful father?
That's tough, you know, because you always live with a little bit of parental guilt. Like, am I doing it right?
All the time.
You know? And, man, a successful father, I think a few things. One is still having a relationship with her and being a safe space, being a guidance whenever she needs it, and at least just a place to come visit. Yeah. Like, that's number one, is the relationship and maintaining that as she gets older. I think that's going to be harder for her mom and her, but easier for me because she and I almost live like she's in college anyway. Yeah. You know, like just the way that we see each other and how often and what we do when we spend time together. Yeah. I'm hoping and I think that our relationship is actually going to get stronger when she does go to college. Yeah. Just because we already have a good distance foundation. Yeah. And the second part is like, it's interesting because her mom and I are very athletic, outgoing, loud people, but she is not. You know, and she's got an athletic bone. She just doesn't like to exercise. You know, she's getting into fitness right now, and she's catching on in that sense. But she's also very quiet and observes, and I think she's that way because of how loud my personality is and her mom's. But when she's by herself and with her friends, man, she is a Degolia through and through. Yeah, she is definitely headstrong. You know, she addresses people directly and she's doing her thing. So I think one of the other things that a successful father, is just going out, taking chances and going out into the world. Yep. Like just having the foundation, I think, to just go, I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
Because she's got a foundation back here in Missoula that she can, if she falls down, she knows we're the net.
You're going to catch her.
I think those are the two things.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want to, I don't know who she's going to be or what she's going to do. She is a kid that I know is very intelligent, and I know, but also she needs to be motivated and driven and like passionate about something to go get it.
Yeah.
And she's still searching for that.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got one of my best friends was like, he's a nurse anesthetist now. But back in the day, if you were to say, hey, Tobin's going to be a nurse anesthetist in like 8 years, you'd be like, the fuck he is? That dude's not even going to college, you know?
Yeah.
Or he won't make it if he does go to school.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of thinking my daughter's going to she's going to hit her stride when she gets out into the world.
Yeah.
You know? Because then she can truly be the main character.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I think she is, but she's also in between worlds and finding her way. And I think she is, I can't wait to see her do that.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I think those are the two things. I like to keep it broad because I'd rather just see her go out and fail and learn and grow and keep getting up. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Foundation to go try stuff, fail, but be resilient enough to keep going.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so well said.
Thank you.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah. That's the goal, right?
That is the goal.
But that's also why we're here telling these stories.
Yes. Well, and I think a lot about legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I really like history.
Mm-hmm.
So how do people end up having their stories told throughout time? How does it stick? Who thought they lived an amazing life and then nobody knows them 2 generations later? There's a lot of those.
Or vice versa. The guys that don't hit until they're dead. And then their books take off and their music takes off. It's like, what is that?
What is that? David Lynch just died.
Oh, really?
He was a director.
Okay.
He did the original Dune movie and a couple of Twin Peaks TV show.
Yeah.
Super weird guy. But, you know, everybody's posting on Twitter all these like amazing quotes of his and very much a spiritualist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, this guy was amazing. Where was he? Oh, I had to wait until he died to like even notice that he existed.
That's an interesting thing about humanity.
Yeah, it really
what is that?
What is that?
Why aren't we celebrating some of these people who are brilliant, or maybe we are? We're just missing it. Maybe it's, you know, for you're seeing it exactly when you should see it.
That I think that is the point a lot of the time.
Yeah,
things don't enter your awareness until, and maybe they enter it multiple times until you're ready to take it.
Yeah, because maybe you saw it before and it just didn't resonate, didn't hit, didn't connect, whatever. You know?
Well, so I spent my high school years at Mount Si in North Bend, Washington. And in North Bend is this little cafe. And it's where David Lynch like set the Twin Peaks thing at. Yeah. And so like he was very much in my awareness.
Yeah.
Because it's like the famous part of it's what you have to pass through if you're coming from the east side to get over to Seattle, right? You come over Snoqualmie Pass.
Yep.
Here's North Bend.
Mm-hmm. That's where all the outlet malls are, right?
All the outlet malls.
Okay, that's what it's infamous for.
That's where my wife worked. Her first job was at the outlet mall, actually.
Okay.
Gap.
Yeah.
Gap. Okay, so why was I? But to me, I don't need to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
But I want the best in me to live on in my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need it to be represented the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I want them to be the best version of themselves. My dad always says that if I know that I'm a successful father because my kids ended up better than me, but it's not defined by what he thinks is right. It's not because you got this career or because you did. It's you true, like you're you, and that's what I wanted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't. That's well said. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like that's hard.
Oh yeah.
You know, it almost makes me want to cry because it's like being you, authentically you, and finding your way. Like for some people is such, you know, you have all of these really cool stories that you get to hear on this podcast, but like how different are they?
Oh, they're all, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
But it's also like for some of these stories that you're being told, they're like, man, there's some devastating shit in there.
Yeah.
And there's some hard stuff. And I don't think I experienced hardship until I was, till I was older. And I think I was like truly pulverized in my 20s, rightfully so, because I didn't go through anything as a young man.
Yeah.
But to then experience all that and circle back and be like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like I am the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And without comparing yourself.
Yes.
That taking that out, especially for me as an athlete, former athlete, competitor, like you're always comparing yourself. You're always like, I'm still trying to win and beat people in my current industry. And I love that. Like part of me loves and needs to hang on to that. But seeing in your kids, like it's devastating to see your kid be lost.
Oh yeah.
And trying to find their way. Like that's also
it's hard
what middle school and high school is about, but also like what a cool thing to come back.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to go away for a little bit to come back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the prodigal son.
Yeah.
Right? It's the you are both the sculptor and the sculpture.
Deep.
Yeah.
I've never heard that quote.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Take a block of marble and what's underneath that, but you have to chip away at it. You have to I've always been you said earlier something about not having regrets.
Yeah.
And that's definitely one of my core ways that I approach life.
Same.
Is I'm gonna screw up.
Yep.
Own up to it.
Yep.
Learn from it.
Yep.
And if you keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again, there's something there that needs to be worked on.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing's about experience if you learn from it and become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And I really like the version of me that I am today.
Cool, dude.
But I don't want to be this in 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this in 5 years.
Yeah.
I know there's still a better version of me out there. And so what are the pieces of that marble that I still need to chip away to get to me without comparing me to other people?
Yeah.
Am I better than I was yesterday?
Yep.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
That's a really good question. The best piece of advice I've ever received. Man, I really need to think about that. I think it's hard for me to say that because I feel like I hear profound stuff like daily, weekly, monthly. So
are you a podcast guy?
Big podcast
book
guy.
Reader?
I kind of go in waves of like, I'm not a big like physical reader.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the attention span and something really has to grab me. I'm a huge walker.
Yes.
So I love to walk and listen.
Audible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'll do podcasts sometimes, I'll do music sometimes, and other times I'm just straight silence, just like in my head cruising.
Yeah, that's hard and the best.
Oh man. I just did it this morning. Like I was like, the sun's out. I'm going to cruise. Like, I just got to go. And sometimes I just need my head to just like spin.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's kind of my form of meditation and centering myself. I just need to get moving.
Yes.
To center myself mentally to then sit down and do stuff.
Yep.
But that being said, man, I've been listening to a lot of Matthew McConaughey lately.
Oh, he's so good.
Oh, I fuck with him so heavy. I love Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, he's the best.
And I like the way. Have you read Green Lights?
It's on my list.
Okay.
I need to.
The way he describes that in his life, I'm like, man, I love that. It's like, and I see that in myself. And so I'm trying to answer your question about the best advice that I've received.
What go more into that on the green lights?
So for him, a green light is like what we were talking about, Hawaii didn't work out for me. So I moved to Coeur d'Alene. When I moved to Coeur d'Alene, I met a girl who eventually had my daughter, and my daughter's one of the best things that's happened to me.
Yep.
Green light.
Green light. Absolutely.
Like certain turns and chapters in your life that lead to something else is a green light.
Yeah. Well, and you could
have a pivotal moment in your life.
And you could have considered Hawaii not working out to be a failure, but instead it was the thing that turn that you needed that led you to this other thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And had I gone to Hawaii, I don't know if I didn't go to Hawaii, would I have my daughter?
Your life is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So a lot of green lights in my life.
Yeah.
Turning points, pivots, things that happen. But the best piece of advice, man, it's funny because like my older brother's like a huge role model for me. He's bestowed a lot of wisdom on me, but I'm also like, I'm such an internal guy, and I listen to a lot of things and I process and I think that I don't know if I've actually solicited something from somebody that's been like, oh, okay, that's pivotal. That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
It's more so like listening, like a nugget here.
Yes.
Here's a good one, I think, that one of my favorite musicians is a guy by the name of Rex Life Raj. You ever heard of Rex?
How do I not know Rex?
Rex is
you're gonna have to show me.
He's
an
East Bay area guy.
Okay.
It's like hip hop, kind of rap, soul type stuff.
Yeah.
But he has this thing where he says, "Here's a friendly reminder to get out of your own way." And a lot of times I'm, I get so wrapped up in myself, or definitely as a young man, a lot of times like, and I'm stressing out on the way over here because I'm like, fuck, I'm 20 minutes late because I'm going the wrong direction, all these things. But I'm also thinking like, no, this is happening exactly the way that it should.
Exactly.
And letting go.
Yeah.
And just being like, Brandon and we're going to connect as soon as we sit down. It's going to be fine.
I was actually so glad that you were late.
Cool.
Because I got here at 10:30 and I'm looking around the house, and I already apologized for how messy the house. It looked like a freaking tornado had gone through here. And so I'm running around. The dog's following me everywhere, and I'm getting hot and my heart rate's going up, and I'm going, geez, he's going to come to the door, and I'm just, yeah, hi, Alex.
So I gave you some time.
Oh, I was so glad that you gave me a minute. So it all worked out the way it was supposed to.
Exactly.
But you could have been stressed. Oh man, I'm holding him up. I'm right in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe something else will come to me, but I think it's like, I'm kind of an accumulator,
Yeah.
And I'm you talked about learning, and like for me, I could read something and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. But until I'm actually applying it, so I'm like, read, apply, fail, apply, then learn.
Yes.
Like,
amen.
I have to do it, mess it up, do it again.
Yeah.
Probably. And that's the thing too, is like, I'm definitely a guy who has to repeat over and over and over to get it right.
Yeah.
But I know once I get it right,
it's there.
You can't fuck with me.
Yes.
You will not be able to stop me.
Yeah.
Once I figure it out.
Oh. It's locked in.
Yep. And I'm a persistent, consistent guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I feel like I'm disappointing you. I don't have a solid answer.
What I've decided is my final question for everybody is, if you had a megaphone that could reach everybody in the world, what are you going to say to them? And so ponder, because I think that's kind of the same thing. So it doesn't have to be what you heard, but what is. We'll flip the script and it'll be what's coming from you.
Yeah.
I learned the same way. I can read it and conceptualize it and go, yeah, I can see why that would be true. Yeah. And then I go and I either try it or I try it the way that I thought it would work. So I need to,
yeah, a little refinement.
And I always, have you seen the meme where it's, oh gosh, I don't know what show it's from, but it's the guy freaking out and he's connecting all the red string.
Oh yeah. Always Sunny.
Always Sunny. Yeah. From Always Sunny. Philadelphia.
Yep.
Which it is not always sunny in Philadelphia. And the Eagles can lose this weekend. That would be fantastic. I'd be fine with that. But I feel like that's kind of the way that I get this little nugget, and I know that that's good stuff, but I need other pieces that are gonna reinforce and make the picture whole.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I'm always, again, coming from Mormonism, I thought I had the where did I come from, why am I here, where am I going thing answered.
Interesting.
And then you take that away, and all of a sudden, my whole world's on a different paradigm. And so then, which is actually really cool, because then it's not this plate of food that somebody else made for you. You get to make your own thing. You get to go pick from the buffet.
Yeah.
And
when did you decide to leave?
So I've always been, you were saying earlier how you can't force, somebody not doing the dishes driving you crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not doing it this way?
Right. Why does this not bother you? Yeah.
So Rachel was always that way on the church side. She was very black and white.
Okay.
This is correct.
Yeah.
Everybody that doesn't believe this is wrong.
Yeah.
I've always been gray area.
Okay.
Where I understand conceptually this, but I need to experience it to reinforce that it's true. And until then, I'm just gonna this is good.
Sure.
And so I've always kind of had outside of the box ideas on things.
Okay.
And so it wasn't that hard. I don't know if I answered your question. 2.5 years ago is when we officially walked away. Actually, when we moved here.
Okay.
We moved December. Gosh, what was that? December 20th, 2022.
Yeah.
We show up here, right? The place that we are renting sight unseen.
Yeah.
Pull up. It's 9:00 at night. There's 3 feet of snow in the driveway. And I've got a trailer and 2 vehicles.
Worse, yeah.
And I don't have a snow shovel.
Yeah.
And so I call it Paul and I say, you got me here. You got to help me out, bro.
Yeah.
So 10:00 at night, him and his wife and his son are out there shoveling our driveway.
That's cool.
But then, the thing within Mormonism is it's the same worldwide. Same lesson is getting taught every Sunday in Sunday school.
Oh, wow.
So you could be in Africa, you could be in South America, you could be in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's all programmed out.
Huh.
And it's kind of like school districts. So where you move, that's the congregation that you go to. There's an area map. So it's all very
that's fascinating.
Very well organized.
I didn't know that.
Right? You aren't just deciding to go to New Life or Anthem or right. Which congregation do I want to be a part of?
Yeah, you don't get
assigned.
to choose. Okay.
Yeah. And so we ended up going to for maybe a couple months after we moved, but the McEwen Park downtown, they do that awesome ice skating thing right during the winter.
Yeah.
And so for New Year's, Rachel and I decided to go down there, do that, and we went to Vine and Olive in Riverstone. They were doing a New Year's Eve dinner, 5-course with wine pairing for an extra $75 per or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And we go there and I'm like, we could try this. And I was in a band in my early 20s.
Right.
I've been a rebel. I have not been. I've been Jack and non-Jack on and off.
Kind of dabbling.
I dabble. I dance around.
Toe in the line.
Rachel was never Jack. She did everything by the book.
Wow.
And she said yes. Like, what?
Okay.
You're gonna? And she's like, well, this tastes like moldy shoe juice. What the hell is this? Which, wine.
So she never drank.
Not a drop. And so, there's a term, the slippery slope.
Okay.
Right? Don't do this thing. Don't do the
it's
thing.
It's like weed, the gateway drug.
It's the gateway drug. Yeah. And so I say all that, and that was not that there. Rachel and I have a separate podcast where her and I just philosophize and talk about all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'll be releasing that episode here in a day or two, probably tomorrow. But we go through her journey of, how were you? Almost her main character story.
Love that.
And so it's there's until it hits. You said something earlier and it made me think, life lessons will be repeated until learned.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, that's just the timing of everything, the way that life works. It weaves this beautiful tapestry into
who you are.
Yeah. And I can't imagine living a life where you just go along to get along and do what other people say. And that's why I'm so inspired by what you've said, because your parents were such a safe haven for you to develop into who you are. And then you just ran with it. That's what a cool, it is a blessing.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, yeah. And so that's when you left officially, was like that Vine and Olive bottle of wine.
Well, yeah, because then there's so because I listen to podcasts and I think I said this with Hannah or August or both of them, one of them, none of them, I don't know.
Yeah,
because I'm a hippie now.
Love that.
And Joe Rogan. Do you listen to Rogan?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, he's got some pretty good. He has Lex.
I listened to the Matthew McConaughey one.
Okay,
with Joe.
Quick side note on Matthew McConaughey. And it's so funny that because as I was prepping for this and thinking about what I wanted to ask, and I never I don't give you any prep questions, we just sit down and we just kind of go. It's the best. I love organic.
Yeah.
one of my absolute favorite movies, top 5, is Fool's Gold. Have you ever seen Fool's Gold?
Never seen that.
Oh, you got it. But
he got fat for that, right?
No. Oh, no. If anything, he is
ripped.
I am straight, but for Matthew
he's a
McConaughey,
guy. Go gay for Matthew McConaughey
all day. Because they're in the Caribbean looking for a sunken treasure
I need
ship.
To see that. Yeah.
And it's got Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Man,
her name always escapes me.
That one's not ringing a bell.
Anyways, so he has this, and he's just kind of he's not
typical character.
Oh yeah, he's just a screw up.
Yeah,
and so he's got this like little Ukrainian Russian buddy as a sidekick, and like one of the antagonists midway through the movie says to this Matthew McConaughey friend, "You're just the sidekick," and he gets all hot and heavy, and he goes, "Sir, I am the lead character in my own story." And you're like, you're standing next to Matthew McConaughey. You are not the main character.
Tough
right.
one,
But
yeah.
that's so, it's funny because that's why I named this main character. And it's a misquote because he says, "I am the lead character in my own story." So
love that.
Yeah. But Matthew McConaughey, I love how it's weird, like small town, everybody ends up knowing everybody.
Yeah.
But the big influential people that end up playing little weird roles in our life.
Oh yeah.
Like you get the green light awesomeness from Matthew McConaughey. Matthew, you listen to that episode of him. And whereas, what was the cool musician you just said, Max?
Rex Life Raj.
Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rex.
Yeah. And I'm a Dave Grohl acolyte.
Okay.
I could, and
dude's an amazing musician.
Amazing. And I'm so sad because I don't know what's happening next after he just cheated on the news broke that he cheated on his wife, which you wanted to own up to something. That one's not easy. And so my goal, I'm manifesting this right now.
Yeah.
One of these years, Dave Grohl's sitting in that chair. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. But then how do you, like, when he goes to release his next album, right? Foo Fighters has been together for 20 years, 25 years. First album since Dave cheated on his wife.
Oof.
Like, how do you get over, that's nasty. Anyways.
It's hard to, shake those kind of, I mean, when you're in that kind of spotlight though, too.
Right.
You mentioned something that I thought was interesting too, like your legacy. You didn't want to be famous.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Actually it's funny because it manifested in I think both the instrument that I chose and one of the reasons I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Drums, right?
Drums. Yeah. I never want to be the center of attention, almost like Kiwi, where I am definitely an observer in a large group of people.
Mm.
I don't want to be the main guy on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be about me.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I'm in an intimate setting with people that I know and love and trust, there's
game over.
Game over. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
I end up just, my personality gets a little bit bigger. And so, I grew up, my father-in-law, who I've known since I was 13, he was New York Times bestselling author, seminars across the country, all this crazy. And my dad was a big personality. I'm surrounded by these big personality people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's a shred of it attracted unwanted attention.
Sure.
And so I never want that to happen.
Yeah.
And I love my story. I love my main characterness.
Right.
But I'm just fascinated by other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I could be whatever level of famous, but I never, I'm not going to be a Kardashian.
Yeah. Mainstream.
Right? Yeah. Well, or just like, so about me.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Like ultra big,
I don't
ultra selfish.
Yeah.
Look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's why I like the music that I like, is because there are a bunch of independent entrepreneurs. Yeah. Which I look at myself as similar.
Yeah. And let's dive into this.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that their aspiration is, I don't need to appeal to 8 million people.
Yes.
I can appeal to 8,000 and make more money than I would on the big record label.
Yeah.
And still walk down the beach and not be recognized.
Yeah.
And I want to be that guy too. Like for me, it's like I want to go somewhere where somebody's like, "Man, that guy looks like he's successful. What does he do?"
Yeah.
And just be mysterious.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I love that. And,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of where I want to elevate and continue to maximize and make profit and grow and have nice things and
Of
have
course.
a comfortable lifestyle, but I don't want anybody to know who the fuck I am.
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's hard for being a commercial, can we talk about your profession?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Please.
Being a commercial loan officer, you have to network. People have to know you.
Yes.
Like I have a buddy who I placed a while back who was in a bank and he left the bank and he's doing his own thing. And I'm always like, "Hey, man, let's go get drinks." He's like, "Bro, I can't go drinking with you or go downtown and like act a fool because everybody knows who the fuck I am." He's like, "You're lucky because you're on the phone, you're on email, LinkedIn, and nobody like I could go."
Although you are LinkedIn famous.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah,
I'm building a brand.
Yeah, it's so good to see.
It's fun.
It's great.
Thank you.
You do a great job at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's I can't take all the credit for it. I got two guys, Ben and Sam, who I contract with in the UK.
Really?
And they helped me. So I felt like kind of a pretender for a little bit because I'm like, bro, like I know this content's hitting, but it doesn't feel like is it me doing these ideas? And they're like, "Oh, dude, these are your ideas. We're just helping you put them out there."
Flush it out.
Like editing, helping me edit, helping refine my writing skills.
Yeah.
But like all of the stories, like that's all true stuff, authentically things that I've experienced and done.
Yeah.
But they just help me put it into words.
Yes.
And so for me, that satisfies the creative side of me.
Yeah.
Like I like to write, constantly create, but it's
That's your
fun
outlet.
that's my outlet, but
Yeah.
it's fun to like, this is Alki Consultants
Yes.
shirt. You got a hat there.
Yeah.
Like I want to do some spin-offs of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
We can get into Alki too, but
So how did you get to what you do?
Recruiting.
And what does the future look like?
I think I got to back up a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
So I had a 8.5-year career in higher education first.
Oh, cool.
So, we
talked about that.
Back it up into Dylan. My first job in between 8th grade and freshman year was on the paint and maintenance crew at the University of Montana Western.
Yes.
And I got really good at painting white on already white dorm room walls.
Oh, yeah.
And so I did that for 3 summers and did the occasional odd job during high school. Like if Eric was like, "Hey, we got a orientation set up. You want to come make a little extra money?" I'd be like, "Sure."
Yeah, why not?
So I didn't think anything of that, right? Like I just thought like summer job. I didn't know what to do because in between, Dylan is so small, you couldn't take driver's ed during the school year. You had to take it during the summer.
Yeah.
So I got in because I was old for my grade.
Yeah.
But it was also like, what am I going to do for a half day? Who's going to hire me for half days? And Eric was like, at the time, he was the dean of student affairs at U of M Western. It was like, "Why don't you come work on the maintenance crew?"
Yeah.
And they were really patient with me and helped me learn and progress and mow lawns and just random stuff, kid stuff. And then when I came back to Coeur d'Alene the first time, Eric was the vice president of student services at NIC.
Oh, cool.
And so he was like, "Yo, I know you've already done all this piecemeal work back in the day. The financial aid office needs help. You want to work for a couple days and make some money?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I'm getting ready to play football. I'm not going to work this summer anyway. Yeah, I want to make some money."
Yeah.
So I worked for 2 days in the financial aid office, thought nothing of it, worked hard, made my money, left.
Yep.
Come back, baby on the way, middle of the recession in 2008.
Oh, it was middle of the recession.
And it was like, I didn't know what a recession was. I just knew that like, Coeur d'Alene during the winter, it's gray, it's down, there's nothing going on.
Everything slows down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking for a job thinking maybe this is cyclical, but it was also like cyclical and the recession.
Right.
I'm applying for anything and everything, restaurants, beauty salons, whatever. It doesn't matter. I have a baby on the way. I don't care what I need to do. I'll pose naked for NIC to be a model and let somebody pay me money. I applied for that and I didn't get it.
Oh,
why not?
When are we getting the Alex Tagolia calendar edition? Yeah.
Dude, I was ready to do anything. Couldn't find a job.
Yeah.
And finally, Eric was like, "All right, I see you working hard. Look, remember when you worked in the financial aid office? They still need help." And I was like, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
And so I went and worked there from February of 2008 to end of June 08. So like 4 months.
Yep.
Baby on the way, just hourly making money, going to school. And what had happened was the financial aid office was in turmoil. When I was there in 07, they hired this director who falsified her degrees. and
look, a lie catching up to somebody.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, here it comes.
So they caught her and
Yeah.
fired her, hired a new director. I come in under that new director in 08. Well, that lady came from a very small college, was wanting to do everything on paper. And this is the middle of the recession. Community colleges were exploding in enrollment. So we were becoming less efficient as more students were coming in, and we're just buried.
That's the way to do it.
Yep. So it's
Totally
overpromise, under-deliver, and she got canned.
Yep.
When she got fired, they hired this guy who was down in the student accounts office, did an internal hire, got him on board. Well, one of the ladies, a financial aid technician in the office, was like, I'm not working for him. And quit the day the announcement was made.
Wow.
Green light.
Ah, yes.
Because then all of a sudden, there's a financial aid technician position open that's fully benefited.
Oh, yeah.
So I need benefits. I got a baby on the way.
Look at that timing.
Yeah. So she quits. I apply, but it's either 3 years of experience or a college degree. I have none of those. But it's also that tiny little phrase that says, or equivalent of.
Yes.
So I got a semester at the University of Hawaii. I've got a summer session and a semester at Mendocino College. There's 1 year.
Yep.
I got spring of 08 and spring of 07 at NIC. So I was able to 2 years of college, some diverse experience.
Yep.
Muddle together all of that experience.
Plus, you're already in there.
Yep.
You're a known entity.
Yep.
And is Eric around still at this point?
Eric is around, but Eric says, buddy, I can't just tell them you're employed.
Right.
I can be a reference for you.
Yep.
My own whole life, all of my jobs in higher ed up to this point. Well, I worked in between 07 and 08. I went back to Dillon for a month and a half.
Yeah.
And my mom worked at U of M Western as well. So I was on the maintenance and delivery, worked with my little brother. So I had like a half a summer at Western too.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was able to hodgepodge all of that experience together and make it a year of relevant experience because
so good.
all of it was in student services, which is what financial aid was under as well.
Yes.
Bit of a stretch.
Hey, but
we made it work.
Yeah, it works.
And I had 4 months of that experience where I'd already was doing most of the job. And they were like, all right, we know this guy. Let's give him a shot.
Yep.
So I interviewed terribly. I know I did. But because they knew me, they're like, let's get
all right. Yeah.
Once I got on, one of the nice things of having Eric there was like, he was like, you're going to go under a special arrangement. You can go to school full time. You can work part time and still retain your benefits as long as when school's not in session, you're there full time.
Kick ass.
So
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have asked for a better setup.
Yeah. And it was really cool, but it was also, there's a lot of pressure on me because I wasn't about to be the guy getting favors from the vice president and not delivering.
Right.
So I had to uphold his name and reputation because I wasn't taking that lightly.
No.
And so I did that for the first year. The day my benefits kicked in, day my daughter was born.
No way.
July 1st. 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Green light.
Green light.
Yep.
The timing of that is so cool.
Isn't that crazy?
That's wild.
And so I worked for 3 years as a financial aid technician, July 1st of 08 to 11.
Yeah.
During that time, first year went to NIC, graduated with my Associate of Science in Business Administration.
Yep.
Next couple years, went to Lewis Clark State College, Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
And graduated with my Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration, minor in marketing. Kind of just, I worked, man, it was tough because I worked full-time, had a kid part-time, and was working full-time.
Yeah.
And just doing it.
So again, your daughter wasn't sleeping, that wasn't helping, so you've got a full. Yeah.
And I'm so thankful at the time. I was like, 21 to 24. I had the energy for it. I'm like 37 now, watching people have kids. I'm like, oh my God, you guys have been sleeping your whole life. I sleep now. I'm tired,
Wake up, I'm more tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, so I did 3 years, got my associates, got my bachelor's. Eric eventually moved on to Cascadia College in Bothell.
Oh,
he's the president over there. He's been that since 2013, I think.
Yeah.
when he left, it was almost like a relief to me. Not that like I missed my brother and was sad that he was leaving, really excited for him and his new opportunity and progressing his life and career. But it was also like, now I just get to be me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd earned my spot and I'd progressed and advanced. And because I had the associates and the bachelors, Eric left. But one thing we put into play, thing he and the financial aid director put into place was, we need one new position. We need to create a position for a financial aid advisor.
Yeah. So
that also opened up when I graduated with my bachelor's.
Boom.
Green light.
Green light.
So so that opens up, they open up the position internally.
Yeah.
I now have my muddled together 1 year, 3 years of experience, associates, bachelor's. I'm the only one in the office who meets the criteria on all of campus.
Yeah.
Took them a little bit to hire me because I was young, had some ego, young man. Like I'm trying to climb the ladder, and to back up, when I left high school, I told you I wanted to take over the world. I thought, man, I'm going to be 30. I'm going to have like a big mansion, be a millionaire. I'm going to have a hot wife, like 5 kids.
Yeah.
And life just punched me in the nuts and pushed me down, And so it's like, so getting up, climbing out of that,
threw you in a pit.
Was really kind of dissuaded and salty about the world.
Okay,
because
I was going to say you could come out of that bitter.
Yeah, I was super salty for a while because, Plan A of Hawaii nixed.
Yep.
Plan B of college football nixed. Here's this baby, love her. It has nothing to do with her, but has everything to do.
Necessarily a part of the plan.
Yeah, and it had everything to do with the struggle.
Yeah,
because I went from being fairly comfortable to like we're hurting financially.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wasn't like my parents were floating me or anything like that. It was like I had to go out and be a dad and earn it, and so
you're chipping away at that marble.
Yeah. Oh, these were big hammer
you're
swings.
A sledgehammer in there.
And so it was a struggle, but it was like those little green lights were little wins.
Did you recognize them at the time?
Man, I was just thankful for them.
Yeah.
Like the degree, I remember when I graduated with my associates, I started crying because it was like, I can still do this.
Yeah.
Like it was a credit to me. Like I persevered through 3 schools, transferred all over the place, and still got my degree.
Yeah.
And then when I graduated with my bachelor's, like the story was in 5 years, I went to 4 schools in 3 different states, got 2 degrees, had a baby, and 0 debt. And I was really proud of that.
That is incredible.
Yeah, I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I was able to have no debt was because I was an NIC employee.
Yeah.
So I went to school at NIC for free.
Oh, yeah.
I was an independent student because I had a baby.
Yep.
I made no money. So I got the federal Pell Grant and a scholarship. And so I banked that money.
That's a lot of green lights.
Yeah, dude. And I banked that money and I saved that in an account for Kiwi to be able to put her through daycare. Because she went to the daycare, which, even back then it was an arm and a leg. It was insane.
I have a job to pay to have my dog. Yeah. My
I'm making less than my monthly daycare payment,
wild.
And so that's the only reason Kiwi was able to be raised in the NIC Children's Center.
Yeah.
And so she was right across the street from me.
Yeah.
Like I could look from like your window to this house and there she was playing on the playground.
Oh, that's so good.
So she was there from like 6 weeks to 4.
Yeah.
Absolutely raised there. Where was I going with this? I'm losing my train of thought. Graduated, got my advisor job.
Yep.
They were hesitant because I had the ego.
Right.
I'd grown up a lot, but one of the things I thought I was going to be a businessman when I graduated.
A businessman.
What the fuck does that mean? I have no clue. I just was like, I want to have a lot of money, be dressed in business casual, and flying on airplanes. Like that's what I wanted. I didn't know what that meant, but when all of life hit me and I got into the mud, I started going. I kind of lost sight of those. You say 16-year-old Brandon, I say 18-year-old Alex. Where I was like that just like I'm gonna crush everything that I do.
Yeah.
And I was so defeated and trying to regroup and just trying to survive, trying to raise this baby, figure it out, get through school, that I pivoted to a point where I was like, I'm going to be a college president like Eric.
Oh.
So I'm in financial aid.
Yeah.
I'm progressing. I've got my degrees.
Yep.
I'm now an advisor. I've advanced. They finally gave me the job, but we're like, you got to make sure that you, be cool, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I was real mad about that, but also I was like, all right, it's fair. It's a fair thing.
Yeah.
I'll be cool.
I'll take it.
And I was in that role for 4 years, from like July of 11 until August of 15.
Yep. Okay.
And one of the things was like, I was fully embracing my higher education career at this point.
Yeah.
And I was like, next thing I got to do is get an MBA, because I'm a business major.
Yeah.
I knew one of the things I'm really happy about 18-year-old Alex was be a business major, because I don't know what the fuck I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
But
don't get the liberal arts degree. Go get something business.
Yeah. I know the piece of paper will lead to something. So I didn't know what that was, but I'm really happy for the foresight that I had to just like, let it flow to you, bro. Like, I didn't know that's what I was doing, but so I got in. So I applied to the University of Idaho, Coeur d'Alene.
Yep.
And I applied spring of 11, right when I graduated with my bachelor's. I had this interview on the phone. They were hemming and hawing, because it's an MBA delivered in an executive format.
Okay.
Meaning you have to have a little more life experience and career experience.
Yeah.
First time around, they were really looking at me like, we like you, but you're not ready.
Yeah. Well, at that point, you're what, 20?
I was 2011, so I was, 22, 23?
Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
And so they said, you need some more career experience.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Fair.
Well, I got my promotion from technician to advisor.
Yep.
And was like, I got more experience.
Now
I'm
I got more
applying again,
experience.
right?
Let's go.
So I applied again fall of 11, and they interviewed me face to face.
Oh.
And they're like, man, we like you, but you're not there yet. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, what the fuck are they talking about? I am
Have
there.
you seen me?
I'm
Alex
arriving.
DeGolia.
Yeah. And so they said, you need to take the graduate management admissions test, or the GMAT.
Yeah.
Take that, come back to us.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, fuck. The whole reason I was trying to go to the University of Idaho was because I didn't have to take a test. Because Alex is not a good test taker, my friend.
Oh, really?
No.
That's not your bag?
I am a guy who, if the class is 2 midterms and a final,
you're toast.
This is going to be a grind for the boy.
Yeah.
But if it's homework with a midterm and a final, I'll make my
you'll
money
put in the
all
work
day
and you'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the exact opposite.
Wow. See, that's impressive to me. So that's why I did not thrive at UH Manoa, because it was like, I can't show up to these lecture halls and take a final and a midterm and get anything better than a C. Like, I'm trying, but I need that practical practice.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? So spring of 2012, got the study materials, studied daily, just made it religion, made it routine, like working out, just daily.
Yep.
Took the GMAT in July or summer of 2012.
Yeah.
Scored better than I thought, but not as good as I needed.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, if I'm going to take the GMAT, I might as well apply to Washington State University. They got an online MBA program.
Yeah.
Part of it's the GMAT's required.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll go that way.
Yeah.
My little brother, Kyle, went to Washington State 4 years. Loved to go down to Pullman and see him. I was like, you know how cool it would be to go to the same university as my brother?
Yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs, yeah. And I applied, and I got denied a third time to grad school. And this time it was, your grades are there, your GMAT's too low.
Oh, no.
So at first I'm like, okay, I got a choice here. Spring of 13, I'm like, all right, I'm going to apply to Idaho one more time.
Yeah.
And if they let me in, great. And if they don't, then I guess I will go take a course to get this GMAT up and make a run at this again.
Yeah. Yep.
I applied to Idaho for the third time, and they said, hey, man, we appreciate your persistence. We're going to waive the application fee. Thank you for taking the GMAT you're in. So
really?
I got in.
Wow.
So I got in.
That was pretty good presentation, because I'm like, third time he didn't make it.
Yeah, no. So I applied my fourth time. I got denied by Washington State and Idaho.
Yeah.
So I got in.
Yeah.
And then fall 13 through spring of 15, I went to the MBA program.
Nice.
And that was the coolest college experience I've ever had, dude.
Yeah?
Because I transferred. I've done a lot.
Well,
You know, I really
you've
wanted...
touched a lot.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
really wanted that, like, all-American, like, frat party,
Yeah.
all-American university experience, and I didn't get that. I thought Hawaii would be that.
Oh, yeah.
Hawaii was way laid back.
Yeah.
Parties were not crazy. It wasn't Washington State.
Yeah.
But I also know, as a young blood, going out to WSU or Idaho as, like, a 18, 20-year-old kid, no way. I don't think I'd have made it in a setting like that. Like, you know, Kyle, it worked for Kyle.
Yeah.
So I was in a class of 12 people at Idaho.
Oh.
And coolest thing I've ever done.
I was going to say,
one of the coolest things.
Actually, that's like when you aren't just lost in the crowd.
Not at all.
No.
These people were big to do. It's like I was in the president of Pita Pit was like a buddy of mine, you know, and a bunch of other community members, very accomplished people who are probably our age now in the MBA program. I was 28.
That's incredible.
So I was little brother to everybody.
Yeah, you were.
And that's
so cool.
It was so cool, man. Like, it gives me goosebumps. Like, that's one of those special moments when you're with a special group of people and you're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm actually meeting one of those guys tonight for dinner.
Are you?
Yeah, one of my boys. So
I love it.
But it felt like finally I'm studying the material that I wanted to learn when I was out of high school in terms of business, practical business stuff. Not conceptual, just shitty school stuff.
Yeah.
It was actually practical stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm turning around and listening to these people who are living it, doing it for a career.
Well, I was just going to say, I never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
No.
Right? You want to be surrounded
by I belonged in there, man.
Yeah. But at the same time, I want there to be respect, and I don't want them to look at me and go, this mofo is stupid.
Exactly.
So it's a mastermind process, right? You are just gleaning amazing stuff off of those people.
I learned so much, and I felt like varsity year, football, sophomore year was like, I don't know if I belong here. But it was like, no. I earned my way to this spot. But I still felt so far behind the group that I pushed myself really hard. But they babied me, and I love that, man. I'm so thankful for that experience because two things happened. One is I thought I was getting the degree to continue to progress towards eventually getting a PhD to then climb the ladder to become a community college president.
Right. Yeah.
But when I got in there,
little did you know,
everybody was like, "What are you doing in higher education, man?
Yeah,
you're sitting there grinding for pennies. You should be out making 100,000 right now."
Right now.
And I was like, "I can do that?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Dude, I'll give you a job tomorrow," kind of a thing. And it was like that sparked that 18-year-old business Alex.
Yeah.
I had finally gotten to a point where I had right-sized my life.
Yeah.
Been stable. My daughter was like, we're in a flow with Kiwi. She's in school. Things were just starting to line up where I was like, I don't want to be in higher ed anymore.
Yeah.
And business Alex, that risk taker, that high achiever, that kid is still in me, but I lost him for a little bit.
Yeah.
The MBA program helped me find him.
Yeah.
And then some crazy shit happened. So
none of that was crazy?
No, dude.
So here we go.
So remember I told you the financial aid office had all sorts of turmoil?
Yes.
Okay.
I think NIC just in general, even since I've been here, I'm like, what the hell is going on with NIC?
This was the beginning of all of this.
Wonderful.
We had a really good run.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of us started seeing through the cracks, and we're like, we're getting off the ship before it starts sinking. And that you're seeing it's holy, and they're filling the holes and just trying to keep this bitch above water.
Yes.
And so what happened was my director, who was a dear friend of mine, traveled with him. My Kiwi hung out with his kids.
Yeah.
He was, unbeknownst to me, so part of my duties and responsibilities was managing the scholarship program.
Yep.
He was soliciting sex for scholarships. Using
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
dude, this made national news.
No.
Yes, so he was soliciting sex for scholarships on Craigslist. And what happened was so every once in a while, like, if there's a student, somebody hits us up and says like, hey, Alex, Brandon's really struggling. Can we find him any scholarship money? The protocol was absolutely we can.
Yeah.
Have him apply, and I'll go find some money for him.
Yeah.
We'll help him out.
Yeah.
Like the whole point is giving out money to help students get through school and finish.
Yeah.
That happened. He goes, hey, here's this student, blah, blah, blah. Can you put some money on their account? I'm like, yeah, sure. Just can you have him apply? Like per our schedule. He's like, yeah. Well, one day, there was two things going on. My buddy Tobin, who's now the nurse and anesthetist, he was coming through town and going to take Kiwi to Missoula.
Okay.
Because at the time he was living in Missoula.
Yeah.
It was just he was passing through. I was like, perfect.
Quick and easy.
Take your niece and have some time with her and drop her
off
at mom's.
In the car, hang out, rock out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to coordinate with him. And my boss is like, hey, I'm going to go run an errand. And he's like, oh, my hands are really sweaty. And he like put some gloves on. He's like, I'll see you later. I'm like, okay. All of a sudden I start getting this call from the vice president, like over and over and over. I'm like, Jesus, why is everybody trying to find me right now? Like, this isn't urgent. Send me a fucking email. I'll respond in 24 hours, like per the, like higher education moves at snail pace. Y'all need to chill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so finally they call me into the office and they're like, hey, can you name, we're going to give you 3 names. Can you, do you recognize any of these?
Yeah.
And I recognized one of them that he gave me. And I was like, yeah, that one, we just put money on that scholarship.
Yeah.
Starts asking me some questions. And then a couple people leave. And I got a history with this guy. And the guy goes, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to cover your ass.
Holy crap.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because
like,
you haven't done it. Like, I'm cover my ass on what?
What does this mean?
Yeah.
Well, they did a sting on, and they were going to go do the transaction for her to earn her scholarship.
Yep.
I don't know who they expected. I think they might have thought it was me because I put the money on the account.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had access to do that. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe they were curious if it was going to be me that showed up or whatever. Anyway, he shows up. This guy shows up and they arrest him. Right? So then...
talk about your life just being ruined.
Dude, I mean, 4 kids, beautiful wife. Like, and come to find, dude has been soliciting sex on Craigslist for a while with men and women.
Good night.
So, dude,
man, I miss Craigslist. Dude. That's how I found my band. Love me some Craigslist.
Yeah. And it was one of those things though, where I was like, I was so flipped on my head because I had traveled with this guy. You're in the trenches working daily. You know these people, or you feel like
you spend
you do.
more time with those people than your family typically.
I thought I knew him. This really flipped me on my head, kind of fucked me up because it was like, who do I trust now?
Right.
You know, like how do I really know what anybody does?
Yeah.
And so,
well, which is why it's even more important to trust your gut, your intuition, right?
Yep.
That's because somebody can present one way, and there is that you are getting surface level. It is tip of the iceberg.
Dude, this is something I never saw coming.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he gets fired.
Well, yeah.
And I get exonerated, basically. They didn't keep him on board, put him on probation, anything like that. Yeah. No. I think the reason why they knew that I was innocent was I was like, so what happens if this girl shows up to claim this money? And they're like, don't worry about that because she was made up. So they made the whole student record up to sting whoever was doing it.
So totally, Okay.
And I had a screenshot of like this DM from him because we used to DM. We didn't have an internal system to DM on. We used like Yahoo Messenger. And I just happened to have like that thread to screenshot it and be like, here's what he told me.
Yeah.
So I was fine.
You were fine.
But I didn't appreciate my name being dragged through the mud like that. Like it's still in the police report and all that. Like I was never like, nobody said specifically like, we think it's Alex. It was just like, Alex applied money to this account, blah, blah, blah.
It's
so
just
like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
So he gets fired, but also new opportunity, right? Like, this sucks, but we had an assistant director. I was like, dope, she'll get the promotion to director.
Yeah.
I'm about to get my MBA.
Yeah.
I'll go from advisor to assistant director. We'll keep this thing rocking.
Rock and roll.
Well, she's interim director, vice president and her, before they officially opened the director position, eliminate the assistant director role.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, okay, well, there is my career path.
Yeah.
You literally just axed it.
Right.
Even though it's like, she still hasn't applied and officially been, and she didn't have she had a bachelor's, but she didn't have an MBA. She had more experience than me, but we were candidate-wise, like we were equals.
Yeah.
And I personally thought I was way more ready to manage than she was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I told her, I'm like, I'm going to apply for the director job.
Yeah.
And there are moments in my life where I'm ready to make a change and I kill interviews.
Yeah.
Like being a recruiter, you'd think I'd be a better interviewer, and I'm not a great interviewer. But when I'm ready, I kill it.
You kill it.
And I killed these interviews.
Yeah.
And they made the safe decision.
And they went with her.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
And so I was like...
And a green light moment that you didn't realize.
Yep. Because what had happened
was... Were you
was...
pissed?
Fucking fuming, man.
Yeah.
Because I prepped for that interview. I gave a great interview. I know there are 5 people in there. I know 3 of them were for me.
Yeah.
2 of them weren't. And one of them was like convinced to go the other way. And also the vice president of student services at that time was just a shisty.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I can't brown nose my way to the... I can't
not worth
bullshit
it.
And brown nose my way to the top.
That is not
I can't do this.
The environment you want to be in.
Yep.
Nope.
And I was also, so like there's all of these things kind of converging. So I'm getting my MBA, I'm getting this newfound confidence, the door's closed, and all of my buddies are working and they're making money. Like real money,
yeah.
You know, like 100,000 plus. I'm like, I need some bread like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, if I'm going to be working my ass off, I might as well get paid for it.
Hell yeah.
So I'm super disenfranchised, and I'm like, I'm looking externally.
Yeah.
My dad is super into genealogy.
That's cool.
Yeah, families, Mormons.
Yeah,
big
all
genealogists. Yeah. Trampolines, genealogy, baby.
It's a package deal.
Yeah. And so we had this. I had this distant cousin who's from the Bay Area that lived in Harrison, Idaho.
Oh,
and
cool.
every time my dad would come visit us, we'd go get dinner with Rad. And Rad is Robert A. DeGolia. Shout out Rad.
Shout out Rad.
Rad was always that guy that I would look at and be like, man, he's got a nice car. He's always traveling, and he seems comfortable.
That's the life I want.
I want that.
Yeah.
What is he doing? And I remember one time I just was like, hey, Rad, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a recruiter. Like, what the fuck does that mean? What is that? What the hell is even that?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So eventually I'm so fed up with this career. I'm looking. He knows I'm looking. And we decided we got to get together more than when your dad's in town.
Yeah.
Let's just like, I live in Harrison. He had a house at the time in Hayden and Harrison. He's like, let's get together, drink beers. He's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
You know, so leave my career, and we're starting to, I'll never forget it. It's a Sunday morning. We're drinking coffee, and he's reading the paper, and he goes, you know, if you're thinking about a career change, you really should look at recruiting. Management, their MRI network has an independent franchise in Coeur d'Alene called Management Recruiters of Coeur d'Alene. You should look at it. He's like, go there, get your training. You know, it's one of the best in the game. Like, that's where he started back in the day. He's lived in Seattle, and he was like at Management Recruiters of Seattle or something, got his career started there, and then
dip your toe in.
Yeah.
And the experience.
Yep. And he's been an entrepreneur and running his own show for like 30 plus years at this point, and just been balling ever since, you know? And so I'm like, I want that.
Yeah.
You know, and so business.
Quick side note.
Yeah,
you have so many. I love all of the things that we've discussed today, because it's a really cool representation of how, if something isn't modeled for you, if it's not something that you've seen, you don't even know that it's available.
Exactly. Yes.
And all of a sudden you notice these things about him, and family member. Yeah. I want what he has. How?
Yeah.
And then green light from him.
Green light.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I'll apply. Yeah. And I applied, and within a day, I think I applied for 3 positions that were advertised, and within a day I got a call back from the owner, and I was sitting in my office at NIC, and I had the biggest office in the whole department, and was feeling good. And I remember thinking, I'll call him to schedule an interview. Well, we ended up talking for 45 minutes, and we get off the phone. He's like, yeah, why don't you come in tomorrow? And I'm like, all right. I get off, and I'm like, I think I just interviewed. I think I just had my first interview. Yes. And it was so cool, because I'm like, I thought I was just having a conversation.
Right.
And I showed up and had a great interview, and they were kind of hemming and hawing like they did with my advisor role. Like, young guy. That is the worst
when people look at, oh, he's young. Yeah. That should excite you.
Full of energy and potential.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
no,
Keep
it's
going.
all good.
That
It
one
was just
drives me
like,
crazy.
it like, and you know, there was still my, I guess the negative side of my ego was there, you know? And so I'm like, I was a little pissed about it because I'm like, they were hesitating because I was going to be cutting my income in half to go take this role.
Whoa.
But I was with all the upside in the world.
Yes.
But also, I'd never been in sales. I'd never been in a commissioned job. I had all of the credentials to be a successful recruiter. I was the right demographic, the right age, the right motivators, and all of these things. And finally, he was like, he checked my references. Like, I went through an interview, another interview, met with him and his wife, and I'm like, this is a commission job. Like,
right,
dude should just walk in off the street and get this thing.
Yeah.
Why is he hesitating?
Right.
Well, anyway, he checked my references. They all checked out. And he goes, man, your references checked out. I don't think I have any other option but to offer you the job. And I accepted it.
Yeah.
I quit my job August 19th. My last day at NIC was August 19th, 2015. I started recruiting August 20th, 2015.
Nice.
And I just went for it. And it was a grind. At the time, I was in a different relationship. That was a 6-year endeavor, engaged, could never pull the trigger on marriage because I think I was more in love with being in love than I was actually in love. And I was really trying to hold on and fix and it.
Well, and then you have a time commitment, right? Like I've spent 2 years with her, 3 years, 4 years.
Should have pulled the plug long.
Yeah.
Could have, would have, should have.
Yep.
No regrets on that. But you know, that was a tough time for me in Kiwi, and still is a
because
bit of
then
a tough time.
that person's a part of Kiwi's life, and
yeah. So that was a relationship that was contentious anyway.
Yeah.
And then to just go, I'm going to cut my income in half now.
Oh yeah.
So one family of 4 on an income of $24,000 a year.
Oh my gosh.
But it was one of those things, almost like football, of like, I'm going to bet on myself.
Yeah.
I'm so motivated. Like, I'm going to work my ass off.
That is a skill. That is a special thing that the majority of people won't bet on themselves.
Yeah, totally. They don't believe in themselves.
No.
And also,
and how can you be the main character and not bet on yourself?
Yeah, I don't think you can.
No.
I think too, one thing that I've realized throughout my life, even Hawaii and before, is like everything that I think I know will eventually come true, but I'm also an impatient person. And one thing I've learned, it's like, it's going to happen. It just might not necessarily be on my time.
Yep.
You know?
Oh gosh, that is so true.
And so also taking a leap like that, going from the biggest office, making decent money. But I remember at NIC just being like, I am working a respectable job and struggling. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go find something different.
Yeah.
And,
and there's 2 things that come to mind with that. You're never going to get rich working for somebody else.
Nope.
And if you want something different, you have to do something different.
And that was the time for me. I'm like, I'm 28. I've got degrees. Now is the time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if I keep digging in on financial aid or higher education, it's just going to be harder and harder and harder to make this pivot.
More time commitment. Yep.
Gotta go.
Yep.
I gotta go now.
Yep.
And
you're like Indiana Jones, just stepping off into the void.
Totally. That's what I did, man. And one thing that I would encourage, like I know other people who have, like, you go into these sexy industries because the upside.
Yes.
But you have to be patient.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, is the transition and just eating the costs and struggling financially. But if you stick with it, it will happen.
Yes.
You know, there's a phrase I use, keep chopping.
Yeah.
Because if you keep swinging that axe, eventually the tree will fall.
Yes, it will.
And so.
Keep chopping.
Yeah. So 2015 was a grind. Finishing the year was very stressful. 2016 was a little bit tough. Then I started making placements. Yeah. And when I got into recruiting, they said, we do consulting engineering or banking.
Okay.
Which one do you want to do? And I was like, he goes, well, we're in consulting engineering because I was a consulting engineer to begin with and like that industry. And I've paid enough money to banks that I want to take money back from them. And I was like, yo,
I love it.
I want to be a bank robber in the most legal of senses.
So good. They're going to participate in it. In fact, they're going to ask me for it.
Yes. So I was like, banking sounds pretty cool. I don't know anything about either industry.
What a flip of the coin.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's wild.
So I chose banking because it sounded cool. And I'd had a checking account and a savings, and that was all I knew about banking.
I did banking.
Yeah, I did. I do banking. Yeah, I had no clue.
Yeah.
So I had to learn banking, recruiting, sales, all of that.
And
And
that is something that I've always wondered is if you've never worked in the industry, how the hell do you recruit for it?
dude, one thing that I think is one of my strengths is I like to talk to people.
You're very good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I like to hear people's stories, just like you.
Yeah.
And so there's that social aspect of it too. But one thing I'm good at too is seeing and hearing patterns.
Yes.
So I'd start talking to commercial loan officers, and it was like I'd had 5 or 6 in a row, and all of a sudden I'm like, everybody's looking for the same job.
Yes.
Every commercial loan officer wants to be a team lead. Every team lead wants to be a regional manager. I know if I come across a team lead role, I'm going to if instead of just a commercial loan officer position, I'll reach out to 20 guys, maybe hear from 3.
Yep.
If I have a team lead role, I'm reaching out to 20 and probably hearing from 12.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
For sure.
So I started hearing that.
Yep.
And I'm like, I know I'm good at this.
Yeah.
Like I can feel.
You're recognizing the patterns.
I'm seeing the playing field. It's just like school.
Yeah.
Once I figure this out, everybody's done.
Yeah, you're defensive back again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it took me a while because the MRI network has really good training, but my boss was not a good trainer.
Oh.
He was a very
After that
hands-off,
very thorough,
aloof man.
Yeah. Hiring process. Very thorough hiring process. And
Exactly.
then
He would be slow to hire. Sorry, fast to hire, except with me. Fast to hire, slow to fire, when he should have been opposite.
Oh, yeah.
Because he cost the company a lot of money with bad salespeople, bad recruiters.
Yep.
But so got into it, and I remember I'm like, I know I'm good at this, but I can't figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
And one day he goes, Alex, all you're trying to do is convince people to talk to each other. And I'm like,
that is, oh my gosh.
Maybe that's some of the best advice I've ever had in my life, dude.
Yeah.
Because
we knew it was going to come back.
Yeah, because I go, that's it? I can do this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you and I did this, right?
Yes.
Like, what? Just talk to him, Brendan. Like, if you don't like him, we'll just keep moving.
Right. Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Oh, that's so brilliant.
So I put that together, and then I just started stacking up wins.
Yeah.
And, I know we're pushing time here, but I can keep going.
Yeah, no, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this will come to a natural conclusion.
Yeah.
Here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I finally hit what's called pace setter. Like, so I'm a team player through and through. Love team sports. Never thrived at individual sports. It just was never my thing.
Yeah.
Recruiting is like that one thing where I feel I get a lot of what I love to do. I get to be creative.
Yep.
I get to compete.
Yep.
I get to be social.
Yep.
I get to build something. I get to pop in and learn about companies and people and learn an industry, but I don't have to deal with any of the politics of it.
No.
And I love being able to like get all the tea and then be like, glad I'm not working there, you know?
And
and so it just fits. Like, I think we're all meant to do something.
Yes.
And
you feel
sure
like you're
that
in your
I was
calling?
meant to be a recruiter, man.
Yeah.
Because it's me coming full circle and wanting to be a businessman.
Yeah.
I finally am like, this is what I meant.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'll tell you a quick side note.
Please.
Went to Mexico for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And
that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And so it's just me and my girlfriend. We're sitting first class.
Yeah.
I'm sitting looking, I have a glass of champagne, and we're flying down the California coast to Mazatlan.
Yeah.
And I just started crying.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, this is what I've always pictured.
Look, you manifested it. That's so kick ass.
I'm 37, and it's like, I thought I'd be doing this way earlier, but I'm like, it's happening exactly when and how it should. And I'm like sitting there with a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
next to me. I got a drink. I'm in first class. I'm on a plane and I'm going where I want to go. And I built it all myself.
Yeah.
And I just started crying, man.
Yeah. How can you not?
And I was so proud of myself.
Yeah, as you should be.
And that's like not trying to flex. It was just like, this is so fucking cool.
Yes.
You know?
Well, and we've been talking about it this entire show, but if you were to distill that down, how did you get there?
And we've been through a lot of it.
Yeah.
The whole story, right?
Yeah.
But I think what happened was, so 2016, I started to get a little traction.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Year and a half in. All right, I'm producing. I get a little win. Once you start winning, it's like in a sport. You know, it's like sometimes you just need the ball to bounce your way.
Momentum is a thing.
Yeah, totally.
I will never not be convinced of that. Yeah.
Yep. And you get the ball to bounce your way, and all of a sudden you pop off a win, and you're like, okay, cool, I can do this.
Yep.
2017 happens, and I get what's called Pace Setter. It's like you have to hit a certain amount of cash in.
Yeah.
I think at the time it was like $315,000 cash in.
Yeah.
So I hit that.
Yeah.
Get a free trip for 2 to Jamaica. Yeah. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's roll.
Hell yeah.
So, but I have that. This is where I'm starting to realize that I have what Nick Saban was describing as relief syndrome.
Yeah.
So 2018 rolls around. Relationship ends. That's a good thing. It was huge weight off my shoulder, but it was a big transition.
Yeah.
You know, Kiwi was there from 4 until 10.
Yeah.
And she had a son, and there was a lot of unwinding and feelings, and it was a great thing for Kiwi. I think she was not as happy in the situation as I thought I was, and then realized, you know, a lot of other stuff, but it ended. And but I also missed out on Pace Setter the second time by like 13 grand.
Oh,
which is like, it's minimal, man. That's like one placement.
I was going to say. Yeah.
So I barely missed it. But what I did during that year was, because I made so much money the year before, and it wasn't like, I'm not saying like gobs of money. I made over $100,000 for the first time in 2017.
Oh yeah.
And it was
that
like,
feels good.
Oh dude, once you hit that, you're like, I can do this. Yeah. Like 100,000 is a lot of money until you make it. And then all of a sudden you're like, I want to keep going.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember when I got hired as a branch manager the first time, and I went from like 35,000 as a personal banker to 60,000, and I was ecstatic.
Yep.
And then you get that $100,000 mark, and you're like, "Fuck yeah,
dude!" And there's not a lot of people in that stratosphere.
No,
you know,
right?
Like what you do and the income you make is upper of our entire country.
Yeah, which is wild, because then you add in 4 kids and it's like, I have less money than I did before.
How does that work? But still,
it was just my wife and I.
Yeah, you guys would be moving.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also like, you think about where you are, like you've earned your spot in society, and like people perceive income. Like, this is important too. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm going to make 100 grand. You're like, no, you're not.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that do that. And like, you see these Instagram reels of like, what kind of man do you want? Like, I need somebody who makes at least 175. And like, do you know how many people don't make that? A majority of these dudes you're messing around with.
Right. And do you know how many of those guys are looking at you and going, no fucking
way.
Yeah,
no way.
You're a 5.
Yeah, exactly. So I got this confidence in 17. I struggled in 18.
Yep.
But in 2018, I did 2 things. I got the Certified Senior Account Manager designation, CSAM.
Okay.
And that's like a big industry accolade.
Yeah.
Fucking had to take a test again.
Of course.
But I got it. You know, it took me a couple times to take the test, but I wiggled my way through it and got the designation. But I also paid off all of my debt in 2018.
Gosh, that feels so good, doesn't it?
Paid off my student loans. It was one of those things where I'm like, I have the money now. I should just do this.
Yes.
I'm not like, I could just keep paying, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to write a big check and just get back to 0.
Yes.
And like, just keep moving.
Yeah.
And I remember hemming and hawing about that, because I'm like,
but what if something?
Yeah. And then it was like, no,
I'm
going to bet on myself again.
Yeah.
It was almost like optimistic, like, I'm going to spend all this money, I'm going to pay off this debt.
Yeah.
Student loans, like and really the only debt I did have was student loans from grad school.
It's really good.
And that's why I took debt, was because I was like, well, I didn't get any in my undergrad.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and, you know, I'll take a loan for grad school. And then I'm like, I paid it off in 2 years or whatever.
That's
crazy. 3 years.
Yeah.
But then I'm sitting there at zero. Well, 2019, back on track. Bounce back year, banner year, back to pace setter, free trip, take Kiwi to Maui, like cool trip. Really cool time.
That has to be
it was dope.
Cool memory.
It was, and it was right before the pandemic.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to Hawaii in 2020 for our anniversary, and that did not happen.
Yeah, dude. We were there. No, we were there. So I made Pace Setter 2019. We took a trip March of 20.
Holy cow.
We were coming back, and nobody was on the planes. I'm like, this is bizarre. What's happening? Like 2 weeks later, everything shut down.
Yep.
So
talk about timing.
Yeah, dude.
Jeez.
But 2019, Pace Setter. Here's another green light. I hurt my back. I've always kind of had back issues.
Well, I mean, you weren't like hitting other people. Or
Right.
anything.
Yeah. So football wore me down. And I was lifting and I don't know, just tweaked myself. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. I wasn't a big walker before all this.
Oh.
So I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk. And I lived on 3rd Street.
Yeah.
And I lived right across from Management Recruiters. Like, it was a perfect setup.
Yeah.
Like, post-breakup.
Right near Pilgrims.
Yep,
Gosh,
exactly.
I love it over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kiwi hated the house. It was pretty ghetto, but I'm like, I loved that house. It was super ratchet, and it was like a big rebuild, but it was so fun.
Oh, that's so good.
And so I'm out for a walk one morning, come around the corner, and I see this house for sale. And before all this, I'd never wanted to own a house.
Oh.
I was never, because I didn't want the headache of mowing lawns, and I was like, I don't want all that shit to.
And having a landlord that you can just be like, fix this thing
exactly.
is kind of nice.
But as I started making more money, I'm like, man, I am paying somebody else to own this house.
Yes,
I'm pissed about that.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around. I look at this house, kind of size it up, and I'm like, man, if I were to buy a house, I would need a house that is good enough to live in.
Yep.
And if I wanted to fix it up, I could,
Yeah.
but I don't have to.
Yeah. So yes.
Looked at this house. I'm like, hit up one of the homies. And at the time he was a mortgage loan officer. I was like, hey, what do you think of this, buddy? And he's like, are you fucking with me? Cause he knew how, like, I was
averse
against
too.
owning, and then I'm like, yeah, let's check it out. It was on the market for 90 days. It was $275,000.
Oh my gosh. Good luck finding that in Coeur d'Alene today.
I talked him down to 265.
No way.
And at the time that we were negotiating, couldn't come to terms. And I'm like, 265 or bust. They let the deal die. My buddy was like, man, this is a big risk.
But you have to be willing to walk away.
Because I was like, what? I'm not losing. Like,
No.
I love renting this house and I don't need to own.
No.
But this place is
I'm going to get this way I want, or they can kick rocks.
Literally a block over on 2nd Street. So I'm like, so they were like, yeah, accepted offer. So May 19th, 2019, I bought my first house.
Congrats.
Thank you. Still in it.
Nice.
It was a big deal because growing up with Kiwi, we'd rented and I'd always wanted, like, I grew up owning always.
Yeah.
I always had my own room. I was always comfortable. I grew up middle class, maybe upper middle class in Dillon, but never went without.
Right.
But wanted to give Kiwi what I had in terms of
now she gets to paint the walls.
Oh, dude, she has a whole floor.
Oh, she does.
The whole upstairs is hers.
That's so cool.
But that was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, buy a house, and it was like, I never thought I'd be 5 years ago, 32, buying my first house, but it was like, it happened exactly the way it should have.
Exactly. Well, and us as millennials, like, our story's a little bit different than the boomers.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, we can't be a mailman and put a family of 4 through college and own a house, and you have to have different.
You have to be
top earner.
Yeah, you have to be a top earner.
And so, 2020 happened. I thought, like, I'm a big against the grain guy.
Yeah.
So 2020 happens, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know, market's gonna be down. I'm like, fuck that, no way.
No,
I'm making Pace Setter. There's no way I'm going to let this affect me.
Yeah.
And banking blew up in 2020.
Yes, it did.
And I made,
dude,
all of a sudden, 2020 was a down year. Like, a lot of people talk about how the pandemic was so hard, and I'm not trying to discredit the world and what people went through, but I thrived in the pandemic too.
Yeah.
I was boating. I was
well,
on the
and
water.
we're also in the right spot. COVID did not exist in North Idaho.
No, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I'm making money. Like I had a banner year. Like I set company all-time records for cash in and billings. It was like I think I did 780,000 in billings.
Damn.
And had like 750,000 cash in. Now that wasn't all mine because I had to split it with the company.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also
you're doing that.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Doing pretty well. Even at 50%, you know, of that. So also got the pinnacle award that you could ever receive in recruiting, and that's CSAM of the year. Like it's the MRI network. Like it is only once a year, got to be a certain person. I got nominated and I got like the penultimate.
You got the Heisman of.
The ultimate, the Heisman of recruiting.
Yeah.
You know, really, truly is. And
that's so cool.
It was such an honor, man. It was such a
another congrats.
Thank you.
That's kick-ass.
I was just on that wave.
Oh, yeah.
On that wave.
You were vibing.
Yep. And with that performance, 2.5 years into my 6.5 years at Management Recruiters of Coeur d'Alene, I got to become the vice president of the company.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was like managing people. But really what it was like the manager just riding my back because I was making all the revenue. I was doing all the day-to-day operations. I was.
Here's the title. You're doing the work.
Yep. And you're making $36,000 a year guaranteed.
Oh, gosh.
Just keep making your commissions.
24?
Yeah. Keep making your commissions and go run the company for me.
Yeah.
Well, I got an opportunity to be a partner.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at it and I'm like, trusting my gut. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The way he wanted to do it, it was like a partial buy-in, profit share, but I would get taxed on the profit share, but then just give it right back to him to pay off. It was like a $700,000 price tag or something to buy the company.
Yep.
So I'm like stressing.
And he's still just milking you for
wanting to make 120 a year for a few years and then 60K after that for a few years and just show up. I'm like, I didn't trust him to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I liked him and appreciated the opportunity that he gave me. But over time it was like, he doesn't do anything.
Right.
It's me.
Well,
doing this.
and it's kind of hard to respect that.
Oh, yeah. And then also,
and then you want to get he won't partner with him? With somebody you don't respect?
Yeah. That much money. I'm like, maybe this is my green light.
This is another green light.
And so I start thinking about it, talking to my cousin, because my cousin Rad was like, man, you've been at Management Recruiters way too long.
Yeah, how long was he there?
You're leaving. He dipped after like 3 years.
Yeah, okay.
He's like, and I was having fun at the time. I was managing. We had a great culture, good team.
Yeah.
Put together a good squad. We really had up and down years, and I was kind of realizing like, I think I'm a good manager. I think I could be better had I had a better manager of me.
Yeah.
And I was realizing I'm not going to help people hit their full potential. I don't want a $40,000 a month nut to pay all these people.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too much pressure on me.
Yep.
And
talk about anxiety.
Yeah.
Holy cows.
Yeah. And I was like, I can't do this.
No.
And so,
way to trust your gut.
Yeah. I was like, what am I going to do? And so my cousin's like, dude, I've been telling you, get out. You need to get out. I've been telling you this for years.
Sounds like a kick in the pants.
He is like, I've been telling you a long time. Get out of there. And then, so I had a lawyer look at it, had an accountant look at it, and they're all like, yeah, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
you did your due diligence.
I did, but he was like, I'll get you this information January. And it took him until July for me to hand this conversation. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to drag my feet then and make sure that I'm making an informed decision.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started looking into it, I'm like, I am going to put all the pieces together right now that if I have a conversation with him and it goes sideways and I need to start my own thing, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was making money, so I saved a lot of money.
Yep.
Got all my ducks in a row, started meeting with a graphic designer, designing my logo, designing my website, and it was just like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so what we did, so I told him and he's like, it was crazy to me. I thought this is going to be a respectful process.
Yep.
I thought he'll be appreciative of me being the top recruiter that's ever come through the company.
Yeah.
He's going to at least cut me some slack and show me some respect.
Yeah.
Dude, as soon as I told him...
because you've done everything to earn that.
I thought so.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said I was out, man, I was a number. And it really, like my other boss who got fired for soliciting scholarships, sex for scholarships, this flipped me on my head.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, at the very least, human to human, we got to show each other some respect in the fact that, like, we accomplished a shit ton of stuff
I'm sorry we couldn't make this work. Good luck on
or
your
even
endeavors.
Like, can we adjust the terms? It was like
something.
It was basically like, okay, well, you're out. You got to buy. And I had I would never sign this again, but I had a non-compete and a non-solicitation. And the non-compete was not crazy, but the non-solicitation was very restrictive.
Well, because you are working with the banks, and obviously you're working with all the people that are filling the roles for the banks. Was the non-solicitation towards the banks or the
clients?
It was towards
everybody.
The clients.
Everybody.
It was everybody.
Same industry, same clients, same candidates. Nothing. Couldn't touch them.
Wow.
And I moved across the street from my office, basically. So
nice.
You know, like I was on 3rd Street. I literally moved a block forward on 2nd, and it was like, you can't start your own company within a 50-mile radius, all these things. So I thought, well, maybe what I'll do then is I'll just live remotely for a year and just like gypsy it and just like recruit. But then the hang up was you can't recruit in banking. So I had to buy myself out, which is fine. Like I figured, so we had to come up with a multiple to buy myself out. So it was $700,000 to buy the company and run it.
Yep.
Yeah, buy into it. Or we basically negotiated $90,000 for me to buy myself.
Oh, no brainer.
No brainer.
No brainer.
And I also had to split some deals with him.
Yeah.
Like we'll just take a snapshot of my pipeline. Whatever I close, you pay me a percentage of, you get the other percentage.
Yep. And then wash our hands and move on.
We'll part ways.
Yep.
And that process hurt because, man, I poured myself into that company.
Yeah.
And I was really, really salty.
Yeah.
But one thing I appreciate about him was like, all right, we're going to do this multiple for the buyout, but we're going to throw out your best year because you'll never do that again. And I'm like, motherfucker, watch me.
Yes. Okay, so that begs the question: how soon did you beat that year?
So I paid $90K, took a line of credit on my house, wrote a big check. I got it on a shirt. I'll get you a shirt. It says self-funded.
Oh,
it's my first check.
Good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And that's going to be part of the merch line.
Oh, I love it.
I'll get you one of that because that's going to be like exclusive to particular people. The check doesn't have to float to everybody.
Yeah.
But so I wrote a $90,000 check.
Yeah.
And man, I was up and running. And here's a big reason why I did this, because as I started thinking about going off on my own versus buying in, I started talking to my clients. And I was like, hey, if I went off on my own, would you guys still work with me? And the resounding answer was, we don't work with management recruiters of Coeur d'Alene. We work with Alex DeGolia.
Yes.
So we could give a shit what logo you have and the name above your door. As long as we work with Alex, then we'll go where you go.
Yes. And tell me where that isn't the case. I mean, it's true in what I do with banking. Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Because banks are banks. Like, really, there's not a huge amount of differentiation. Right. It's all relationship.
And what was the advice that you get? You're trying to get two people to talk to each other. That's what life boils down to, folks, is relationships, talking to each other, communicating, vibing.
Yes.
It's really not complicated. And God damn, do we make it complicated.
Dude, yes, we overthink everything.
Yep.
You know? And so, so bought myself out, and man, I just turned on. And I beat that year one.
Yes,
I paid off my line of credit by April.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And so, do you know the first rule of business? First rule in business is to stay in business.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Yes.
So every year.
Oh, I feel silly for not being able to answer that.
I mean, I know it was a loaded question, but year one, every year I try to set up savings for the next year.
Yep.
So then that way I can operate free and clear. And if I make zero, I can still be in business for 12 months.
Yep.
So I did that right out of the gate. But man, I blew that record out of the water year one. I did it independently. I did it my way. And it was like, this is why I'm meant to be doing this.
Main character.
And part of it is like, then I do things now where I'm like, I need to develop content. And when I met Ben and Sam, they're like, why do you feel like you need to? I'm like, I don't know why I need to.
Oh,
what I know is I know it's important, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize why.
How would you describe that?
So I'm creating content now for a few reasons. One is to develop my brand.
Yep.
And the brand for me, Alex DeGolia is a father, a friend, a recruiter. I'm all of those or nothing.
Yes.
So what's important is to be authentically me at all points in time.
Yes.
And what differentiates me from any other recruiter? You know how easy it is to be a recruiter? You just need a phone and a laptop. It doesn't take anything. Like it's not hard, but it's not easy.
Correct.
You know? And so what differentiates me is me being relatable, me being me.
Yeah.
And so what's important to me is like, you know, I wrote you the letter. Like the letter I write people, I've done that my entire career.
Which is such a nice touch, by the way.
Dude.
It is the chef's kiss.
Because as much as I'm talking about myself on this podcast, when we interacted, you didn't really know much about me. And that's just credit to you, because that's not the game.
Right.
Like I'm here to learn what you want about you, and I can relate to you, but I'm not going to tell you my story because that's irrelevant in what we're doing.
Right.
So content's a way for me to tell my story.
Yes.
And for people to understand who I am, what I'm
about.
Relatable,
vibe with you,
but also,
I need Alex.
Yes, but you taking this job and improving your life with your family means something to me.
I am so glad
because
that you just said that.
I can provide for my daughter.
Yes.
You're a reason I'm flying on that plane, realizing my dreams, man. You have helped me realize my dreams.
Which, isn't it one of the, again, core things about the way that I see the world is if you want to progress, if you want things, you have to help other people.
Yeah.
You cannot make it about you.
Yeah.
And that's right. I said this to you on text. The amount of people that you have helped with what you do, you've gotten them jobs.
Yeah.
Those people have gone to work for companies that they enjoy. And then because they are commercial lenders, they go out and they find businesses that need that next building, that next piece of equipment, whatever it is. And then that allows them to employ people. And so you're helping multiple people, banking and their clients, put food on the table. You're impacting the economy.
Yes.
You move the needle here, and you got people to talk,
dude.
And you made it about them. That, like, it's just, that is the, I don't have words for it.
Dude,
it's beautiful.
I appreciate it. Yeah, because like that check, when that comes in, like I'll never forget when I first started getting money coming in my first Christmas, of being able to go buy Kiwi presents and not stress about it.
Yeah.
Like she always had presents.
Right.
We were always fairly comfortable. Here's what she doesn't remember. She's like, Daddy, I don't remember being poor. I'm like, thank God you don't remember being poor.
Yeah.
But that first Christmas of just buying and watching her enjoy it, and me just sitting back and being like, I did this.
Yeah. Is there a better feeling?
No.
Nope.
And there's not, because like it's so cool. Like you taking this job and being able, you can buy a house now, dude. Like, look at that. That's so cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And seeing you succeed in what you're doing, like for me, it's like, wait, I get to help a company. I get to influence the economy and the marketplace, help a company grow. I get to help a person improve their life, and I get paid for that?
Which is crazy.
Yes.
And it didn't cost the person that you helped anything.
Nothing. All you have to do is talk to me. What kind
of magic is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. I always say this. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time.
Yep.
So as long as you tell me what you want, I might talk to you today and not talk to you for 5 years, but at some point, my philosophy is I won't forget you. I will come back.
Yeah.
Because we'll connect. Like, I have a really good memory.
Yeah.
I'm because of football. I love rosters. I love transactions. I love the process of building a team.
Yes.
And that's why I like recruiting too. Because like I could talk to you maybe 5 years ago and somebody would be like, hey, we're looking for a commercial lender who has experience in Washington and is going back between Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. And I would be like, I could probably think of 3 guys right out of the gate. I'm calling Brandon tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you might not have heard from me and be like, hey, Brandon, it's Alex. And some people are like, hey, like they don't remember me. That's
Right.
okay, but I want to be memorable.
Oh, you are definitely that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because when I started...
Your brand is awesome. The Alex brand is great.
Thank you. And for me, when I started recruiting, I didn't want to be a sing-songy, cheesy sales guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to be authentically me.
Yes.
And so
otherwise you're walking through life being fake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lie.
And
it gets exhausting.
Tried to hang on to it, you know, and so being able to, I think what Ben and Sam helped me do on the content end was really help me. I have a hard time talking sometimes about my expertise because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about the market and all these things. And I'm like, I don't think I know anything. And they're like, dude, you've been in the game almost 10 years. You need to talk about what you have experienced. You need to talk about your opinion.
Yeah.
But being outspoken, you know, like talking on a podcast and saying your opinion about things, that's vulnerable.
It's very vulnerable because we live in a culture where how many people get canceled for saying the wrong thing?
Totally.
So it's hard to be authentic.
Yeah.
It's hard. And thank you for coming on this, by the way.
Absolutely.
And being
I'm
so
having
open.
a great time. I'm honored to be here, by the way, because I don't think you're probably the third or fourth candidate I've ever met in my career.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's funny because you walked, came into the house.
Yeah.
I was, when did I last talk to Alex? Well, the first time I talked to Alex, I was pacing the floor right here.
Wow, really?
He doesn't know that. The only time that we've met was at the restaurant.
Post-job.
Post-job. And you're fantastic at the follow-up too. And
thank you.
Sorry for not being good at the follow-up.
It's my job to follow up, not yours. Yeah. I knew we'd catch up at some point.
The 1 month anniversary, the 1 week anniversary, the 1 month anniversary, the 6 month anniversary, the 1 year anniversary. It's so good.
I just called a guy yesterday who hit his 6 year.
Did you really?
So I do
That's
day
so
1,
good. Yep.
week 1,
Yep.
week 2,
Yep.
month 1, month 2,
Yep.
month 3,
Yep.
month 6, year 1, and then every year thereafter.
That's amazing.
And so I just called him and said, "Hey Andrew, hey man, congratulations, 6 years. Just want to, you don't have to call me back."
Did he do one of those?
I left him a voicemail. I said, "Hey,
yeah.
there's no rush, but I just want to say congratulations. It still means something to me."
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, and the genuineness there is amazing. And then the added benefit is, hey, you have this pipeline of people that in 5 years, when that person says, "I need this thing," you're like, yeah.
One of the coolest things for me career-wise is when I place somebody, they progress in their role to a manager and then call me and go, "Hey man, we need people."
We need, yeah.
That full circle
that
of placing somebody
good.
and then placing other people. It's like my little team that I put together.
Oh, that's so good.
It's so
Pretty
dope.
soon, the whole inland Northwest is going to be all Alex people.
Dude, you'd be surprised. Pacific Northwest banks do not like me.
Why?
My personality. You already know the situation.
Sorry for being awesome.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate that. But for whatever reason, my vibe is more Northern California.
Okay.
So the fact that I got you a job here, like you're probably the third or fourth placement I've made out of 100 plus in this area.
That's so. Do you do nationwide?
Yeah, I would say mostly
wild,
mostly Northern California, but I'm expanding all over the country. And see, that's the thing about content. Recruits are like candidates are falling out of trees for me.
Yes.
And it's harder
and
on the client side. If they don't know how to find,
if you aren't putting your stuff out there, how the hell do they find you?
And
I
put it out in a way that's like, one, it shows expertise, but two, it's like, I'm a dude. I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I live real shit, you know?
Yeah.
And I want people to be like, "Hey man, I've had multiple people go, one, I love your content.
Yes.
It's real." Because I shit on the industry too. Like I try to challenge the norms.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't go into the bank and say that. You can't say,
nope.
Hey,
although I've told multiple people, I feel like I work for the evil empire and I'm like this like rebel inside the whole thing. Yeah. Because it's the banking sucks.
Yeah.
The fact that we need, this is the way that our system works. It's not the best way to do things, but my father-in-law always says, "Teach me the rules, I'll play your game."
Same.
Here we are.
Yep. That's what I was talking about.
How do we bring integrity? How do we bring integrity to it? And how do we do it the right way?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
well, and so how do people find you?
So www.alkiconsultants.com, Alex DeGolia /banking recruiter on LinkedIn. I think those are the two right now.
Yeah.
We're going to be expanding big time.
Such a good follow on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Such a good follow
Thank
on
you.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note the name of the company.
Yeah. Let's.
So you can kind of see it. Yeah. Alki Consultants. So the reason why it's called Alki is for a few reasons. One is Kyle used to live in West Seattle.
Yep.
And so he loved Alki Beach. Yeah. Alki Beach was like a place of peace for him. So like something that's like significant to a family member, and also like that part of Seattle's great.
Yes,
I love that part.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But I started doing some research into what Alki means, and it's a Chinook Indian word, which means into the future or future connotations.
Brilliant.
And so I was like, well, that's what I'm trying to do. But also, my name is Alex.
And it's right there.
And I have Kiwi.
Yeah.
So Alki.
It's nice. That's a good combo.
So there's a space between the Al and the Chi for a reason.
Yeah.
So one is, it's a symbol of I pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
So the space is significant because it's not Alki like the beach. It's Alki for Alex and Kiwi. And then consultants is just kind of the filler. But
yeah, that's beautiful.
But that's how it got its name, because it all fit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you look at my logo right now, it's in the we're revamping it, and I'm really psyched about it.
Yeah.
But right now, if you look at it, it's mountains with a wave. And the mountains signify the constant climb that we have in life, but also signify that when you get to the top of one mountain, there's more to climb.
Yep.
So it's this constant climb. The water signifies the you know, you can shape rocks with water, and it's because it's consistent and it's persistent, and that's what I am.
Yeah.
And the waves crashing is that consistency, that persistence, but it's also the reminder to go with the flow.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so it's like it all ties in together with this deeper meaning, because
you're speaking my language.
Yeah, because I think that's important to embody that.
Yeah.
You know? And
well,
so
Bruce Lee said be like water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
So that's how the name came about.
So
that's
you're
how the company
keep those
came
elements
about.
with the new
water,
logo
waves and mountains will always be a part of it. It's green, and I don't know why I chose green, but I did. But all of a sudden, Kiwi's like, Kiwi, you ever do this with your kids? Like, one week Kiwi comes home, loves peanut butter. Next week she comes home, she's like, Daddy, I've never liked peanut butter. I'm like, you mother. We were just talking about this last week.
I went to Costco and got you a whole pack of this.
Exactly. So then the joke with the two of us is like, is this a peanut butter week or no? You know? But I thought her favorite color was pink.
Yeah.
Well, a couple days ago, she's like, Daddy, my favorite color is green. And so I'm like, this is meant to be.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great.
So a green dot.
I love the homage too.
Yeah. And the green dot will always be a part of that. Like you can see in the logo on the top here, like the dot of the eye is green. Yeah. So that's the dot of the eye is always going to be green. But I feel like with the brand and the content expanding on that, not only just from a recruiting standpoint, I'm going to be coming out with a clothing line. Like,
oh, wonderful.
Kiwi's going to help me come out with some merch.
Yeah.
And like, I just feel like I relate so much to independent musicians, because like they're doing the exact same thing like I am. There's big business, there's big industry. You can get sucked into that, being a recruiter, be a part of a big firm, or you can make less placements, more of an impact, more money, and still be anonymous like me.
Yes.
And so it's all building a brand.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
And so I feel like content is going to be the platform to help me spin a lot of things off of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means.
I was going to say, what does that look like 5 years from now?
I don't know. And I'm okay with that. And
but the
reason,
green lights are going to come.
They will show up when they need to.
Yeah, they will.
And the part of it is, I think that I made a 5-year plan when I went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out. And I get really finicky and like anxious if the plan doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But I've realized I don't have a 5-year plan. I have a general outline.
A general outline.
And I know.
And we're going to fill in the details as we go.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of my philosophy with Kiwi, like we were talking about. Like, I want her to have the platform to be successful. I don't care what she does.
Yeah.
I want her to find that herself.
Yep.
I know that content and what I'm going to do is going to start the fire, start the flame.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to see where it goes. So
I love it. Well, that light has been lit, or fire has been lit.
Yeah.
There's a saying there. There's something there. Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I don't know where it's going to take me, man.
Pour some gasoline on it.
Yeah. But I know that I'm going to be a different person.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be a better person.
Yeah.
I know my daughter in 5 years is going to be a grown up. I could be a grandpa in 5 years. Who knows?
That's crazy.
Who knows? I hope
Who
not,
knows?
baby girl.
Yeah, cute.
Yeah, Kiwi, be responsible.
Hold on.
But yeah, so I don't know. What I know is I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I am doing what I'm meant to be doing.
You enjoy being Alex DeGolia.
I love being Alex DeGolia, man.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a pleasure knowing Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know who knows what's coming up, both good and bad, but you got to be thankful for the highs, lows, and everything in between. And
that's what life's
we're
about.
just going to keep riding the wave.
Yeah.
Living. I'm going to make a joke and then I'll finish that. I feel like there's two things in life that make you happy, right?
Yeah.
Well, in order to be fulfilled, you need the two B's. Two B's.
Two B's.
Bust a nut and be happy. That's what life's about, is the two B's.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm going to keep doing.
Amen.
I'm just going to keep living and loving.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what life's about.
Yeah. Totally agree. That's so good. Well, last megaphone for the world. I mean, you kind of just gave a couple of those.
Yeah. I think, well, we talked about something that I think is sensitive to this area, but I think the country in general is like, man, our country's so divided right now.
Yeah.
And it's not about teams, because we're all in the United States of America. We should be, yes, we can have opposing ideals and different ways of going about things, but we can't forget that we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
And so I think what's important is, like, you can have your beliefs, but we all need to listen to each other. We all need to respect each other, and we all need to have some love.
Yeah.
And I think if we do that, then we can
do anything.
We can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love each other.
Love each other. Agree with that. Alex, thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.